January the 4th, brand new year 2021. Now, last show that I did with Drew, Brett was not here. We tried to end the year on a really positive note. So, Brett, what do you say? We start 2021 with the most positive note that I can find right now.
I'm ready for it, Dave. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you. So, it won't be announced until tomorrow. And we're jumping the gun just a little bit. But I feel positively sure that the winner of this year's William Campbell Trophy, the Heisman Academic Award, with past winners including the very first one, or the second one was Brad Culpepper. We've had Danny Warfel win this thing. Peyton Manning has won this thing. Tim Tebow has won this thing. Our own Barrett Jones has won this award. Justin Herbert was last year's winner, the quarterback now with the Chargers, who are looking for a coach. This thing, seriously, is the real deal. And tomorrow it will be officially announced that Brady White is this year's winner, the 2020 winner of the Campbell Trophy. It is a really big deal. It is the first time a University of Memphis player has ever won this award. I think it's the first time an American Athletic Conference player has ever won this award. And our congratulations to him. And that makes the season, which, Memphis was the only American Athletic Conference team to win a bowl game, for goodness sakes. And the 8 wins and the UCF win and the win at Navy for the first time and the winning of a bowl game for the first time in 5 years. It just puts the cherry on the sundae of this year. A really good year and a great finishing story.
It is, Dave, and it is a prestigious, prestigious award. I would argue that it is the most prestigious individual award any University of Memphis athlete has ever won. I know there are various All-American teams, but whether it's Conference Player of the Year, but I don't know of any that's ever won National Player of the Year in men's basketball. I think this is the highest honor for any individual award ever bestowed upon a University of Memphis athlete, and for Brady White to win it, it's so deserving. And this may be an argument for summertime radio or another day, but I think it separates him as the all-time number one quarterback in Tigers history. I know it's hard to supplant Danny Wimprine. It is, and I take no joy in it because I love Danny Wimprine. I loved how he competed, loved what he did on the field of play and off. But for what Brady White has now won and accomplished, in my humble opinion, I think that separates him as the all-time quarterback for the University of Memphis. The record book sure shows it, and now that hardware shows it.
Well, that debate can range, and you throw Paxton Lynch in there a little bit because he was the highest of the drafted quarterbacks at up to now, and Riley certainly was terrific, no question. I still think for raw talent until he got injured, you could make the case for Steve Matthews, but I think your point is taken that for national perception, this separates him because there's not been a national story. A guy won a national award. Now I go back and there have been first-team All-Americans. And that would be the closest that you could get to this. But this is only one winner nationally, and so it's hard to beat. And so I think you're right. It probably is the greatest national award that has ever been won by a University of Memphis athlete. Memphis never had a Player of the Year in basketball or in football. They've had first-team All-Americans, but never the Player of the Year. So that would be the only thing I think that might sort of trump this thing. Obviously, if you won the Heisman Trophy, well, that's never been close. So I would have to say that you're spot on with that.
And it just adds to this role. And I have said through the years, the Tiger football program had a great history. For too long, it suffered from a lack of consistency. Well, now it is enjoying the fruits of great history with really an amazing run of consistency that I don't see slowing down.
Well, certainly if recruiting and transfer portals are an indicator, no, you're right. This with what Memphis has coming back from those seniors and this recruiting class and the one that Ryan got his first season and some of those guys didn't play and the guys that have opted to come back that could leave and you're still waiting on a couple. I would think the preseason polls in the American would be Cincinnati and Memphis 1-2.
I agree.
And I think a close 1-2. I think UCF slipped a little bit. And getting this kid Grant
Tulane
Gunnell
has to be more consistent.
Yes.
And it makes the shoes that big for Grant Gunnell to have to step in. But look what's been done over Paxton to Riley to Brady White. And now with Grant Gunnell, this fan base expects and it knows good quarterback play.
Oh yeah, I don't think there's any doubt about it. You go back to, as you just mentioned, that string of three. We can say whatever we want to about the Lucky Lloyd Pattersons and the Danny Sparkmans, and so forth and so on. There's and then we throw in. I threw in Matthews. You said Danny Wimpright, and those are great quarterbacks, and they're amongst the elite quarterbacks of this program. But we've never had a string of 3 in a row and possibly 4 in a row now like this. And this is unreal.
I sure don't have the time to do it right now, and it might be a summertime project. But you look over from that opening night in 2013 when Paxton Lynch.
Sure.
Did he start against? Yeah, he started in 2013 because 2012 was the opening night loss to UT Martin, Justin Fuente's first game. So the next year, starting with Justin Fuente in 2013, so you go 13, 14, all the way through last year, through 20, how many places have only had to put on the lineup card 4 names at quarterback?
Not many. Well, and if you go back to 14 and you look at Memphis as a program, I'm trying to remember, Drew, because it was in those last game notes, but since 14.
4 names in 8 years?
Yeah. But since 14, Memphis's number of wins is in the top 10 or 15 in the country.
But not even that spot start to get a guy through a hamstring, to get a guy through some sore ribs. I mean, you knew Paxton Lynch, Riley Ferguson, and Brady White were going to be those starters.
Well, you know what? Maybe that's a little bit of the payback by karma for the Patrick Byrne,
3 starters,
Will Hudgens debacle where they never really,
Billy Bearfield.
Billy Bearfield, but he didn't get hurt. But I'm just saying, you ended up with Billy Bearfield because Byrne was supposed to be the quarterback and got hurt on the first or second play of his senior year where he was the starter.
I believe it was first play against Ole Miss. Yeah.
First play, I think I think it is the very first play. Hudgens came on, played a couple of games, then he got hurt, was knocked out of the season. So Memphis had some good times coming. That's for sure.
Think of all the different starting quarterbacks. I'm not trying to pick on anybody, but over the last 2 years, Tennessee and Arkansas have probably started 8 different guys for a game or more maybe at quarterback, and it's just been such consistent play starting there and continuing through Brady White. So Grant Gunnell with big shoes, but great news on the Brady White front.
Yeah, it is really special. Since you mentioned quarterbacks, and we got so much to go through. We got medals coming your way. Going to talk some Tiger hoops. We got David Cobb at 4 o'clock. We'll do a little bowl recap coming your way around 4:30. Got to talk some Grizz because I think they've been amazing the way they've competed. I think we got to give that coaching staff, Taylor Jenkins, Kyle Anderson, and a lot of great stuff there that is going on. I know they're under 500, but considering most of this team should be in the G League, it's outstanding. Blake Lovell will talk with us about college hoops. You'll come your way at 5. We'll break down the NFL playoffs about 5:30. We got crunch time coming your way, and I'm giving John Rice Plumlee a medal a little bit later. But since we brought up quarterbacks, what an astounding display of I'm for the team, I'll do whatever it takes that Plumlee showed us. And while we're talking quarterbacks, how about the comeback of Alex Smith yesterday, culminating in making the playoffs in what was a dysfunctional culture at Washington that Ron Rivera and he turned around. And there's so many great stories, but just a couple of quarterbacks right there, just being team guys. And the thing about Alex Smith that I also wanted to bring up was it was mentioned on the telecast yesterday how he helped tutor so many guys that ended up becoming great quarterbacks. And you can start with Patrick Mahomes. He did that for Mahomes, where he basically handed him the reins and didn't pout and just said, I'm going to help you. And then he did that earlier this year. I mean, the guy is he's really a good
He also
dude.
did it in San Francisco with Cap.
Yeah, with Kaepernick. That's right. You're right.
Now, both Mahomes and Kaepernick were better and deserved to be playing, but he did it without adding any dysfunction to the organization, and he was ready to acquiesce and do that again with Washington, and Dwayne Haskins just wrecked himself. But you're right, Dave, about Alex Smith. Alex Smith, very, very lucky to, A, be alive, and B, not have that leg amputated.
Oh, I know. I mean, both. You're absolutely right, because both were – scenarios that were in play,
very in play
for moments.
Very.
And you're right. And for him, I mean, he's clearly the comeback player of the year. Anybody who would vote
may
for
have
him
the trophy
is
named after him from here on.
Yeah.
I mean, that could be the Alex Smith comeback player of the year heretofore.
Well, and his coach, too. I mean, my goodness, to think of the dysfunction of Daniel Snyder and that franchise, and really – Snyder forced to try to find somebody that had credibility within the league, goes to Ron Rivera, who really got a raw end of the deal in my mind in Charlotte, and he comes in.
Went to a Super Bowl with him.
Comes in and has cancer, has to go through cancer treatments while he's beginning his job of trying to change this horrific culture, and then does it, and they make it. I mean, if you – look, I'm a Bear fan. You know that. Thank you, L.A. Rams, backing in.
And Rivera's an old Bear, old Cal Bear and Chicago Bear.
He is. He's a former Bear. And, he's tough as could be. He's tough like the monsters of the Midway. But if the Bears are not playing the Washington Redskins, I'm for the Redskins the rest of the way because I just think it's –
Washington football team.
No
sorry, nickname.
You're right.
Yeah,
I'm
okay.
sorry. The FT.
It's like those FCs. It's like those football clubs.
Yeah.
It's a football team instead of a football club.
I know. Well,
yeah.
You couldn't say team football either because then it would be WTF, which is what some people were thinking about that organization. That's for sure.
It's what I was thinking going through some of those airports. But you mentioned John Rice Plumlee, and John Rice is a team guy. I heard him on SportsCenter calling him John Reese. I understand it. I was calling him that until I got the correct pronunciation last year. He is a team guy. Now, he caught a lot of razzing post-game because he had the go route wide open early in the game, had beaten the guy and was going to walk into the end zone and hit him the worst place you can hit somebody, right in the hands.
But you know what?
On that final money drive, he came through.
That was a tough catch to make. It really was. It's not like you've been doing that all year long. You've been throwing that route.
That's right, Dave.
You haven't been running that route. And this was pointed out by the analyst who said, as soon as he dropped it, he said, I'm not going to come down on the guy because that was a hard catch to make. And unless you've been drilling it.
And that announced team is one of the best out there, and Tom Hart sends his hellos to you. Tom Hart, Jordan Rogers, Cole Kubelik on the sideline.
Yeah.
That is one of the A teams out there.
Yeah, I agree. And they made that good point. And then when, he got into the flow of things, he made the big money. As you said, he made the money catch. So congratulations. Speaking of money, how about the Lane Kiffin contract extension? I don't think that, sometimes you're going to get a little dissent because really the school is sort of forced to give that 1-year extension because that's just
especially in Mississippi.
Deal. Yeah.
Because in the state law only allows 4-year max. Mississippi State's going to announce new terms for Mike Leach, I think, any day as well to tack on another year. But well earned for Coach Lane Kiffin, and he gets the year tacked on. That's max, at 4 years. Other places can sign a guy to 50 years if they'd like, but the most you can go in Mississippi's 4.
Didn't somebody just sign a 7-year deal? Who was it? 6 or 7 year, I'm sure.
Yeah. I don't think it was Sarkisian. Was it someone new
You know what? It might have been Hugh Freeze. It might have been a 6-year deal at Liberty for Hugh Freeze with a big buyout.
It may have been.
To scare people
Hugh Freeze
away.
was on middays earlier today. If people would like to go back and listen to that. Look, we're talking all this football and the playoffs. They're here. It's one of my favorite times of the year. I can't wait for all 3 games on Saturday, all 3 games on Sunday, and you need to have the fun at FanDuel Sportsbook. If you've never tried FanDuel before, the playoffs, they're the perfect time to give it a shot. Here's why. New users get an exclusive 25-1 odds boost on any team to win, not cover, to win during the wild card round this coming weekend. That's right. 25-1, any team, any playoff game this weekend. Don't miss out on this exclusive offer. If you've been having fun with FanDuel all season long, you can continue to, and you can start to with these playoffs. Ease of use, easy to register, easy to deposit, fast withdrawals when you win. FanDuel, they pay you your winnings in as little as 24 hours. Range of betting options, live betting, odds boosts and specials. Just download the FanDuel Sportsbook app and use promo code CASH so they know we sent you. That's FanDuel Sportsbook. Promo code CASH, must be 21 or older and present in Tennessee. New users only, must wager on designated boost market. Deposit required, max bonus $125. See full terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com for problem gambling support. Call 1-800-889-9789. Happy 2021 from everyone at Lexus of Memphis. They bring you this hour every day. They're at 2600 Ridgeway, and they are online at lexusofmemphis.com. Give them a call at 901-362-8833. Start the new year the right way in a beautiful new Lexus from Lexus of Memphis. Great offers on the remaining 2020s, but all the 2021s, they are there. Driving luxury and confidence, knowing that every new Lexus comes with complimentary first and second maintenance services. Stop by today at Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and put yourself in the driver's seat of an all-new flagship 2021 LS500, and you'll be looking and driving replete in style. When you purchase a Lexus, you get top-of-the-line engineering and design, and that makes for the luxury driving experience. 901-362-8833. Online at lexusofmemphis.com. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
Top story of the day.
Just a clarification before I give you that. And we thank our texter for this information. Jimbo Fisher got a 7-year deal a couple of years ago with A&M. The top story of the day is we got a new year, and we are going to have an NCAA tournament. They have laid out plans today, a 68-team tournament in bubble-like conditions. Almost all of it will be in Indianapolis. It'll all be held in the state of Indiana. There will be some games in Bloomington and some games in West Lafayette where Purdue is. The selection Sunday will be March 14th. The Final Four will be April the 3rd and April the 5th. I think they're still having it in Lucas, in the Lucas Dome.
Mm-hmm. They're going to use it as well in the early rounds with 2 courts in it.
But my question is, you're not going to have 2 courts for that particular day. Are they? And I did not see anything on would they have people there. I don't know. I don't know about that. But I do know
3 months from today, Final Four time.
Yeah, but I know they're making every effort that they can, while Villanova just had a pause and they are going to miss their next 3 games. We know the Tigers missed a game on Saturday. Coach K, Mike Krzyzewski, will not coach against Boston College this week. So we still have some bumps and bruises, including, did you see today that Boston University and Holy Cross are wearing masks while they play?
Yeah, in a matinee. They have played. I think that is a final.
I think. Oh, is it? I knew they were playing, but they were wearing masks, which, certainly I am not a fit 22-year-old kid, or 19 for that matter,
or 42.
But when I got to walk fast in a mask, man, I find it hard to breathe. I don't see how you could sprint.
I had a lot of mask time.
Yeah,
I know you had 2 masks. I had two N95 over. I had kind of just the standard PPE, and then an N95 and the face shield that said face shield on the front of it rolling through Hartsfield. I looked like a clown, but I wanted to be careful.
Your top story?
My top story, NFL playoffs are here. 14 teams, all set. Tom Brady in, Bill Belichick not. Cleveland in, Cowboys not. Titans in, Texans not. 3 wild card games Saturday, 3 wild card games Sunday. College football finals, they're set. Week from tonight, to the surprise of nobody, Bama in against the Ohio State University. That'll be next Monday night. One team's 12-0. The other team's 7-0. I think they are the 2 best teams.
Well, they sure looked like it the other night. I don't think there was any doubting. I'm still not sure Notre Dame belonged in. I wasn't sure Ohio State did, but now I believe that they do.
Not top story of the day.
Well, that comes back to the numbers and COVID in our community and elsewhere. And by the way, I had several friends that I know of the right age or category that did get vaccinated this past weekend. Those drive-through vaccination places are now closed in Shelby County as they go to long-term care facilities, but they will be back opened for the 1A categories and for those that are 75 years of age and over. We had 344 new cases today and 11 who have passed away. 2,000 tests did provide 17% positivity, and I'm really worried about a spike that I am certain will come for the next 2 weeks. And then after that, with these vaccines in sight, I do feel like we're, hate to use the term turning the corner, but it sure does seem that way. Hospitalization space improved over the weekend. That is a good sign. But over
that is
608,000 in Tennessee who have it, and 7,000 have passed away. Mississippi's 223,000, 1,600 new cases today, and 4,900 who have perished. In Arkansas, 233,000 with 3,700 who have died. In the United States, 21 million cases, 70,000 new ones today, 360,000 who have died, 4.2 million, though, who have been vaccinated. Can't wait for my shot at a vaccination. 86 million or thereabouts around the world now, 350,000 new today, 23.5 million active, and 1,850,000 who have died.
My not top story, Derrick Henry goes over 2,000 rushing yards, led the NFL in rushing yards and in rushing touchdowns. Why isn't he in the MVP conversation? In this era of flag football, why not Najee Harris for Heisman? Why not Derrick Henry for MVP? Team record, 250 yards yesterday to push him over 2K, and joined that exclusive 2K club with 7 others in the NFL. He was the 8th to do it. OJ was first, Eric Dickerson, Barry Sanders, Terrell Davis, Jamal Lewis, Chris Johnson, and Adrian Peterson. I still think, and I know it's very hard to have a serious conversation at all about any football exploits by O.J. Simpson, but I still think his was the most impressive. He went over 2K in a 14-game season, needing 197 on the final day of the year on a frozen Shea Stadium field, and he got it. Derrick Henry and Barry Sanders, the only 2 of the NFL 2K club to also go over 2,000 yards rushing in college.
Well, and Derrick Henry, who may not be getting a Heisman or an MVP, he's going to get a gold from Wallow.
That's what he's counting on.
Exactly. He needed over 200 to get to 2,000 yesterday, and he got it.
He did.
And he got it. And there's
Got
something
250.
else that he did that I'll tell you about when we get to medals, and that will be coming your way momentarily. We are in the Family Leisure studio, and they're starting something tomorrow that everybody is going to really be happy about. It's about getting your pool now during the early bird pool sale at Family Leisure through February the 7th, starting tomorrow. You can reserve your installation spot on your new pool purchase from Family Leisure. And, you know, the prices like the temperature, they always go up when it gets warmer. So you get yours now and save. Family Leisure has hundreds of spas on order, so reserve those while you can right now. Play gyms, they're in stock. They're ready for installation. You got a young one, You want to beat everybody. You're looking to get them outside when the weather is right. Here is your chance. The early bird pool sale happening now at Family Leisure. That's Witten at I-40, where family and fun all do come together. Precious metals, and I got a feeling we got 1 million of them coming your way in just a minute.
You have opinions?
I think they got a lot of athletic ability.
We want to hear them.
Oh, absolutely. I agree with you.
Call us on the First Bank phone line at 360-8255 or text us on the First Bank text line at 67129.
You know what sounds good? Fresh sandwiches and salads, homemade soups and desserts. And you know where to find all this delicious food? Paradise Cafe at Poplar and Ridgeway in the Regalia Shopping Center. The name says it all. Paradise Cafe makes their food fresh. Salads, sandwiches, cookies, and brownies. Hand-selected fruit, pimento cheese, even 4 kinds of chicken salad. The homemade soups change daily. They're said to be the best in the city. Try the signature turkey burger on ciabatta or shrimp salad on a croissant. Then top it off with a low-fat shake. Paradise Cafe has 11 kinds. Paradise Cafe, open Monday through Saturday, 10:30 to 2:30. Observing current social distancing guidelines with patio seating. Curbside pickup and delivery are also available. Fresh and homemade for you. That's Paradise Cafe in the heart of East Memphis at Poplar and Ridgeway inside the Regalia Shopping Center. You know what sounds good? Paradise Cafe.
Before you drive the all-new Nissan Rogue, you gotta ask yourself, how rogue are you gonna go? We talking be one with nature in the desert rogue? Go snowshoeing in Alaska rogue? Or take the long way home just because kind of rogue? Just a question, but with 5 available drive modes, you're sure to find the answer.
Go rogue in the all-new, fiercely reimagined 2021 Nissan Rogue, now with the most standard safety features in its class. See Owner's Manual for important safety information. Auto Pacific segmentation. 2021 Nissan Rogue versus latest in market competitors. Base models compared.
Listen Sundays at 11 a.m. to join Idlewild Presbyterian Church for worship. Idlewild is a PCUSA church located in Midtown Memphis.
We are Real Sports Talk. Sports 56 WHBQ. Available on your radio dial at 560 AM, 98.5 FM, and 96.1 FM. As well as online around the world at sports56whbq.com. Take us with you everywhere on your phone or tablet by downloading the Sports 56 app. And at home, tell Google or Alexa to play Sports 56. Wherever you are, stay tuned to Real Sports Talk. Sports 56, 98.5, and 96.1. Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brett Norsworthy.
We get to precious metals here in a minute. There is a story developing, and this one touches our friend Brett Norsworthy, because his friend, and really mine too, guy I respect quite a bit, David Kellum, has just tweeted, apparently he was with you this weekend, I am sure. Apparently David Kellum has COVID.
Yeah, David and Mary both have tested positive. I talked to David earlier today. I was going to let him do his telling, and he has, and now we can talk about it. He reached out to me, first of all, in an abundance of caution, is that word. Those words have been used a lot, but especially since the proximity that we had together at the bowl game, and because of that, I am quarantining. I am fine, but David has had symptoms. He has felt bad. They have tested positive for the virus, and I was with him quite a bit. We ate dinner together a couple of times in Tampa, and we were right by each other. I would say no more than about a foot apart from each other, doing pregame and postgame. Most of the other time, though, we were very, very cautious with masks. And in Florida, while it is wide open, they are very social distancing and mask wearing conscious. But the rest of the state, it's amazing to go to the mall or go to a restaurant or go anywhere except for at sports and still and see that many people out. But everyone trying to be socially distant, and we probably, I know we didn't fail with mask wearing and distance when we could, but there are times like riding on an airplane even that it's hard to be socially distant. But David reached out to me, let me know today, asked me how I was doing. I'm doing fine. I ain't got a single symptom, not one. I feel just fine. At the first sign of one, I will probably go be tested. I'm probably going to go be tested about Wednesday or Thursday anyway, but if it were to come on before that, I would definitely go be tested. But I'm fine. He reached out to all of our radio crew, and we wish him a speedy recovery.
And we should point out, because people are going to go, well, what about Wallow and Drew? Well, you're doing the show. Well, for those that aren't aware, Brett
long way away
has been doing the show really pretty much since the pandemic.
Since March 27th.
At his house in Forest City. We got a little studio set up there, so he's taken care of that way. And the protocol is taken very seriously by the Flynns, as they should. And Dr. Flynn is a doctor, so he is more aware of this than most people anyway. And we are separated, myself and Drew, by glass and by walls, and also by about 15 feet of distance. So we're not.
And Dave,
anywhere
I've
close.
been very conscious from the. I've been very conscious from the beginning on the. I've joked about it, and I'm joking because it did seem. Let's be honest. Through these travails that we've been through with this, it did seem foolish that day I came in March with mask and gloves on. It did. I looked like a clown, but I was very conscious from the beginning. I don't know if everybody knows, but I do have underlying condition that I think a lot of people would be conscious of. I guess if we're telling the health stuff, I've never told this on there. I've referenced it a time or two as an aside, but I've never. In February 27th, 2013, after a long period of.
Wow, that is incredible. That has not crashed in forever, and it crashed just when he was about to reveal something important. And so when it retrains, we will get that story right where he left off, which is in 2013. Now, isn't that amazing? That's like it wasn't meant to be told or something.
Almost like the universe is trying to tell him not to say anything.
Exactly. Well, and because of those underlying conditions, I am hopeful, and I'll reiterate this when he comes back on, that he goes and gets tested because he needs to stay ahead of the game on that particular front. And he was, as he just said, he was a foot away, whether it was with masks or whatever. He shook his hand and was breathing that air in the airplane with David Kellum. So I do hope that he will absolutely positively take care of getting the test. Is he back? No. Okay. Yeah,
I would talk more, but I'm trying to make sure we get him back on as fast as possible.
I get that. And, the thing is, he is dependent for the way that system is set, right, for the Internet. So with no Internet, he may be calling in before it is all said and done. It was weird on which day was it? I think it was the day before New Year's Day. I can't remember exactly which day, but my power kept going out. It was like 4 times. And finally, MLGW got it fixed. But that meant no TV, no internet, no lights, no nothing. It was really weird. All right, we've got Brett back.
That was weird, wasn't it?
That is like
where was
the universe was trying to tell you not to say anything. This is when it happened. I'm sure you said it was, and you gave the date in 2013, and and then it went out.
I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, and I have fought it since that day, and the bosses were aware of it from that day forward. All my close friends and family, they have known. I've never talked about it, but that's why when people text and ask, what are you so scared of? You big scaredy cat. What kind of baby are you? That's why I've been a big scaredy cat. That's why I've been a big baby about it. And I can stand anything except for pain and temptation, and it's why I've tried to be extra careful with the glove wearing and the mask wearing and with the social distancing. The times that I have been in studio, we're still not in studio. We're in a room separate and apart from one another, as all the shows have been and all the shows will be. But that's why I've been careful, and that's why David was so careful to reach out to me today and let me know where he stood. And I'm going to be fine on both fronts. I do not feel bad at all. as everybody knows, I've had plenty of time off and hale and hearty and ready to go for this new year, but I'm going to keep a close eye on it. And if I feel the first thing, I'm going to run and go get tested. And I'm probably going to be tested about Thursday or Friday anyway, just to be on the safe side.
I said while you were gone, I wanted to, and I didn't. I knew you were going to say what the underlying condition was. I did not mention, but because of that underlying condition, I really want you to get tested as soon as you can, just to stay on top of it.
Yeah, and that's what my primary care and other. I got a team of doctors, and got Dr. Flynn always advising me and helping me, and really has been a close friend through everything. And that's why we're trying to be extra careful. We're going to be, but I'm fine and raring to go. But sure want David and Mary to get to feeling better really soon, because they are some couple, and David really looks back looks to you, Dave. Y'all came of age really together.
You know what?
Doing ball games, and he counts you as a real friend.
The first time I met David Kellum was 1983.
Yeah,
we were both doing women's basketball. I was doing the Lady Tigers, and he was doing the Lady Rebels.
Yep.
And that is the first time I've met him, and I've stayed in contact with him throughout all these years.
Good friends.
And he is such a gentleman. And you said he really was not feeling good. This was not asymptomatic. This was I feel like crap.
He's got it. Yeah. He's got it, and he voiced that to me today, and he's being extra careful, and he's gonna watch it and make sure he's good and well, and we all are. I've reached out today to all our crew that was close with each other over the weekend, and we just have to be careful, and everybody has to be, because I'm with you, Dave. I think the end is. I think we're at the beginning of the end. Now we got to see how long the end takes.
Yeah, it's we got to get the vaccinations out there so people look. I passed by. In case people don't know, there is a health department, Shelby County Health Department site, which has a tent and a big building behind it and long roads of access, which is important so they can make these lines long without blocking people, at Sycamore View and Summer Avenue. And I drove by there, I think it was New Year's Day, and the lines were really long. So people were catching on that the vaccines were here, and that it was that you could get vaccinated, and I truly do hope, and I know the vast majority will, but I hope as many people will take it as possible. And if anybody wants to see me take it, I'll be happy to show my wares, because I will take it the minute they will let me have it.
I will too. I'm not at all. I'll take a vaccine for anything, if for no other reason, to limit the exposure. Now that's what I'm concerned about. That person on the airplane. If I had gotten it from somebody, did I expose them? Or just any contact. I sure wouldn't want to get anybody near or far infected. But I promise you, I didn't pull the plug on the Wi-Fi for dramatic effect. That's proving that I'm off site when I went offline.
You know what I said? I went. You know what? I can't remember the last time he got knocked off the air. It's like and then Drew used the word the universe doesn't want him to share.
Yeah, and right before I went on the little break I took around the holidays, the Wi-Fi was shaky. It's been good all day, and we start needing it. And right at dramatic effect time, it flames out. So it's proof. Live radio, folks.
Yeah. Murphy's Law, too, in effect. Let us take a timeout so we can get all the medals in. We'll do that now. We come back, we'll do the precious medals. That comes your way next on Sports Time.
Listen online anywhere, anytime at sports56whbq.com.
Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
Chris Price here for Brian Elder Roofing. The storms we've had over the past several months have been devastating to our communities. The rainy season is ahead. You may have not even noticed the dripping in your attic, water stains throughout your home, or even worse, mold and mildew. Please call Brian Elder Roofing and we will send out our project managers to assess any damage. We will not try to sell you a roof if all you need is a repair. We will measure your roof from outer space. 0% for 60 months, even no payments till 2022 are available with approved credit. If you've noticed missing shingles, water stains, leaks in your roof, call us before you call your insurance company at 867-0303. That's 867-0303, and we will provide a free, thorough inspection of your roof's condition.
Call 867-0303. Brian Elders Roofing Solutions.
It's time, Memphis. Tune in to Fox Sports Southeast and watch your next-gen Grizzlies Tuesday, January 5th at 7 p.m. when they host LeBron James and the Los Angeles Lakers, presented by FanDuel Sportsbook. Check out Grizzlies.com for more information.
Bria's Fashion Boutique is the worst. First, they asked me if I needed help finding anything. Just because I'm gorgeous doesn't mean I need help.
No matter how hard you work for your small business, online reviewers will find something to complain about.
Then they tell me they're having a sale. Oh, so you're assuming I'm poor. Cool.
And while Progressive can't save you from these trolls, we can help you save money on commercial, auto, and business insurance.
Also, they tried to give me the friends and family discount. I'm not your friend, so...
Get a quote online today at progressivecommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliated and third-party insurers.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brett Norsworthy.
This story just coming out, Will Muschamp apparently has turned down Steve Sarkisian to be the defensive coordinator at Texas, which is, why would you turn that down? You're not going to get another head coaching job right away, and this could...
But he was once the head coach in waiting at UT.
I know.
The UT.
I'm really shocked at that. Now you know who they are going to go after, reportedly?
I was... For D.C.?
Yes.
No, I don't.
You know him. We all know him. He spent a little time here. Almost was the head coach here. Barry Odom.
Ooh, Barry Lamar, Dave Odom, great choice.
That is where Sarkisian may be going next after Muschamp turned him down.
Arkansas and Texas play week 2 next year in Fayetteville, September 11th, that date. Yes, next year, the 20th anniversary of that day and date, they play in Fayetteville. Dave, industry insider told me the Texas deal with Sarkisian was done 2 weeks ago. They kept it that big a secret.
Well, I was really surprised. You knew that when they fired Herman, when they did, that it was clearly they had their guy, and they were just waiting on that guy.
And I think Chris Del Conte hated Herman so bad he wanted to twist it in him.
Well, he just said 2 weeks ago he's our guy. I mean, that is, if they knew 2 weeks ago and he knew that, that is a real knife twist.
Texas looked great in the bowl game too.
And they did. I mean, he's the first guy to go 4-0 in bowls at Texas ever. Win his first 4 bowls.
Is that right?
Yep. First guy ever, and he gets the axe. In the meantime, before we run out of time, let's get in precious metals. I got a bunch, Brett.
I got a bunch.
I got to give, speaking of Texas, I got to give Shaka Smart a bronze medal. Did you see what they did to Kansas in Kansas? They beat them up, and they moved all the way up to number 4 in the new rankings. They were patient. So Del Conte was patient with his basketball coach because, believe me, there were plenty of people that said Shaka Smart can't do it with talent. He's got to get a certain kind of player, and he can't do it with elite athletes. Well, I think he's going to prove them all wrong. I got to give the Grizzlies Taylor Jenkins, Kyle Anderson, who's really been
What
good.
medal? Bronze, silver, gold? What are you giving them?
Bronze.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm giving 2 bronze. 1 to Texas basketball and Shaka Smart, and really the administration for staying with Shaka. And I'm giving this to the Grizz and Taylor Jenkins and Kyle Anderson and Tyus Jones. You know, they had 34 assists against Charlotte. 34 in the one game. I mean, they were playing like a team. You get a double-double out of Valanciunas every night. But other than Valanciunas, really, and Kyle Anderson, I mean, some of the times the makeup of the – and I must say Bain is turning out to be a really good move where they traded up to get him in that first round so they could get their guy they identified. He looks.
Don't
like
forget John
he's
Conchar.
He
had 4 points yesterday,
well,
Dave.
You know, I love the way John Conchar plays. I love his heart. I really do.
I kid.
But the truth is, you look at some of the combinations they have out there, and you're going, wait a second, that's the G League team. And they beat Charlotte at Charlotte, and they competed with the Lakers. I'm impressed. I give them a bronze medal. I give a silver medal to Ohio State for their line play. On both sides of the football, offensive line and defensive line, they owned Clemson. Clemson could
destroyed
do
them.
Nothing. Trevor Lawrence never had a second. They were on top of him immediately, and they could never get that offense going. I mean, it was just outstanding how they dominated. And then I'm going to give Plumlee, I already mentioned it, and Ole Miss for giving Kiffin that contract extension to make sure he's happy. I didn't really believe in the train. I didn't. I thought the Lane train was all hype, and I knew he was funny, and I knew he'd sell tickets. I wasn't sure if he could really coach football. I was really kind of high on him when he first got to Tennessee, and then look what happened there, and look at the way he was at USC. And I know he sort of turned things around at Florida Atlantic, but I just didn't really believe it. I'd believe it after this year, after watching all his press conferences and seeing the way he deals with people. I think that is terrific. And Plumlee,
he's been great to us.
What a job by Plumlee. The guy's a quarterback, accepted the role that he was going to be a backup. Then they said, hey, we are really down. Would you be a receiver? Okay. And you know what? Maybe he ends up being a receiver now. Maybe he can play somewhere else that way. I think that's really a cool deal. I give him a silver. And then I've got 3 gold medals. I'm going to give my first one to Derrick Henry. Mentioned he had to get over 200 to get 2,000 yards, the 8th guy ever to do that. He led the NFL in rushes, rushing yards, and rushing touchdowns. But he did that last year, too. He becomes the first guy to do that in back-to-back years since 1966, 1967. Can you believe that? That's the kind of year Derrick Henry has had.
I'm sorry, who did it then?
I'm not sure. I'm thinking it might have been Jim Brown.
Now, Brown was done by then. I wonder who it was.
I don't know. But the last time it was done, and I didn't see who did it, but I saw the graphic, it was 66, 67, where a guy led
hit the Google on that one.
Led the National Football League in all 3 of those categories: rushes attempted, rushing yards, and rushing touchdowns. And he's done it.
Would it have been Leroy Kelly?
Could have been. Could have been. All you got to do is look at rushing yards, 66, and then we'll know.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Well, Dave went to the quick Google search, didn't he? He cut it down.
I'm good at directing. I'm not good at getting there. I got to give a gold medal to Ron Rivera and Alex Smith. We already told you why. The Washington football team, come on, they were supposed to be terrible. He changed the culture while fighting cancer. Here's a quarterback that almost died, almost lost his leg, came back and got this team to the playoffs. If you give him time, by the way, he can't run and throw. But if you allow him in the pocket to just stay there, he'll pick you apart. He's got a rifle still for an arm. I love the guy. I think you're right. They should name the darn comeback award for him. And then Najee Harris gets my final gold because he had the run of the year. I should say the run and hurdle of the year. It sort of was the symbol of the college football playoff weekend. Without a doubt, that was just amazing.
Amazing play by Najee Harris, and it was something to see. My bronze, I have 2. First one goes to Georgia. They won. Yeah, they won, but Cincinnati, they were able to hang. The Cincinnati D-line could not be moved around by that Matt Luke Georgia offensive line. They could not impose their will, and then the defense, and also that defensive front, where they were able to stop the Georgia running game, only 45 yards. Georgia won, but Cincinnati proved that they belonged in a spotlight game, maybe even a bigger one than the one they were in.
Yep.
Another bronze goes to the Bears. They backed into the playoffs, playoffs.
You're giving them a bronze medal? Hold it.
expanded playoffs.
Is that the point you're trying to make?
Mitch Mitchell in the playoffs. You know there are too many teams. He makes
Mitch
playoffs.
Mitchell. Let me tell you, that is not on Mitch Mitchell. That is on Nagy and the guy who's making the calls now. I forget his name.
They're re-upping with Nagy. You're stuck with them.
I mean, that is ridiculous. Did you
Three
see
silvers?
the fourth down call that they had? They're 4 for 4 on fourth down calls with runs, either sneaks with Trubisky, who's got some pretty good athleticism and strength, or giving the ball to David Montgomery. And they do this stupid, they're a half a yard out, and they sprint them out to throw. Nagy or what's the guy, the OC
Bears
that's calling it now? What a dumb play. That's
the
what
Bears
cost the
play
Bears.
Sunday. They play Sunday. If you blink, you'll miss them. Saints will crush them. 3 silver medals, Ohio State. I'm with you on the line domination. Another silver to the Buffalo Bills that are building a championship team in that town of heartbreak that's never really had a champion, and also silver to Aaron Rodgers. Derrick Henry may have put up a MVP type year, but he's not going to win it. Aaron Rodgers is going to win it. Bunch of medals. SEC 6-2 with wins versus top 25 teams, and every one of the bowl wins. 14-4 the last 2 years in the bowls. Gold medal to Nick Saban. Even with his unsportsmanlike conduct call that cost Bama bettors in a way, he's 12-0 in another national championship game. 5th national championship game in the last 6 years, 8th in the last 12 years. Gold medal goes to Lane Kiffin. He wanted that game Saturday for no other reason, for his dad, for all of his dad's friends and all the people they know in the Tampa area, and to get it over number 11 in the country, Indiana, number 2 or number 3 at worst in the Big Ten. Ole Miss able to defeat them with 0 turnovers. What a difference no turnovers makes. My final gold medal goes to Baker Mayfield. He got the Browns in the playoffs.
He did. He truly did. And it is a good story. That's the first time in 18 years that they have made the playoffs. It has really been a drought. I got to give a rust to Tigers hoops scheduling. Memphis does not play tomorrow night at 8, so I'll be off tomorrow. They play tomorrow night, and then they don't play again until a week from Thursday. If they missed a game on Saturday, if they had missed this game, and there was the UCF had a game before the one they played against USF against Tulane, they had it postponed on December 30th. Had they not played this game, Memphis would have gone almost 3 weeks without playing a game. I don't understand the big lapse here, and they got 5 games on the road in January, only 2 games at home. Kind of crazy. Doesn't make a lot of sense. I hope they make up in the next week or so that Temple game once Temple is allowed to play. I got to give a rust to both Mississippi State and Tulsa. What a disgrace after that game. Wow. A guy kicking a guy in the face and running away. All kinds of chippiness before the game began and after. It was ugly. There's no place in college football for any of that. I don't mind being physical, and you can be a little chippy in there, and you can chirp a bit, but you can't take it to the level they did. That was an embarrassment for both schools.
Let's see how the punishments
both
handed
leagues. You know what? Oresco was very quick to discuss it and said they were going to investigate it themselves. So let's see exactly what does happen with that. And then finally, a rust to Doug Peterson. This is the 3rd time this year that he has done something where I've just absolutely scratched my head. The first time was the first game of the year when he decided to play for a tie. And then this time to play down the stretch, if you were a New York Giants fan, you would like to take Doug Peterson out today. I promise you. What? Playing this, what is he, a 4-string quarterback? To see.
You could say throwing the game, Dave.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you could. And I don't. He said, "Well, we're playing to win. I got you. You're going to go see what the backup can do in a game. What about
that's what you do in a 3rd preseason game?
How about Jalen Hurts? See what he can do for a whole game. I know he scored 2 touchdowns. He wasn't exactly knocking it out. Why don't you go see exactly what he can do for a whole game? That was ridiculous.
Party's over in Philly.
I am just amazed. I thought this guy was really good. This year has really exposed him as being a very questionable head football coach.
I start right there with my Russ. All the people that want to crack on college football and the bowl season on who cares and who doesn't care. What about that ugly look every year, week 17 or the last weekend of the year, I guess week 18 next year, how it looks in the NFL? That was some really shoddy football yesterday, played and attempted to play by a lot of people with Philadelphia highlighting. Another Russ goes to Dan Mullen. The whole world got to see the whole Dan Mullen that many of us have been able to see and know for years now. Great football coach, outstanding game day coach, but one more big-time petulant baby. And another Rust of mine goes to Notre Dame. They can get there, but no way are they in the super elite. It is a big gulf between them and the super elite. Brian Kelly's done a great job, but they're not shaking down the echoes to play close games. And that Saturday, 17 points, that's about as close as they've been in any of these big games, and they were never in that game. You knew it from the beginning. It was better.
I'm glad you brought that up. I have it in my notes. If that same team wearing different uniforms takes the field anywhere else, they're not in the Final Four. They're not. If they didn't have Knute Rockne,
I agree,
and Leahy,
that brand,
and Parsegian, they're not in there. Do you know that since the
A&M
BCS
was better than them?
Since the BCS was formed and they've played in those big games, they have lost. I think the closest they've been is 12 points. They clearly should not have been in the Final Four. A&M should have been in there. There's no doubt in my mind.
Or Cincinnati.
Or Cincinnati. I agree. There's no way that Notre Dame belonged in the Final Four. And that is 1 hour in the books. Happy New Year, everybody. When we come back, our friend David Cobb from CBS Sports. He'll join us. This is Sports Time on Sports 56.
Hi, this is Troy Five-Ash, owner of Five-Ash Roof Services. You've heard me talk about how we offer the best products, the best warranties, and the best services for years. Now let's talk about pricing. Pricing should never be the only reason you hire a contractor, but in today's world, pricing is always a consideration. So we suggest you get 2 or 3 estimates for your roof replacement from a reputable, licensed, and insured company, and then give us a call. If we can't beat your best price for a comparable roof system by more than $100, we'll give you $100. It's that simple. We are so sure we can offer you the best price, beating all other qualified companies, we will hand you $100 if we can't, and thank you for the opportunity. So give us a call. What's the worst thing that's going to happen? Make $100? Five-Ash Roof Services, a proud supporter of Tiger Athletics and the official roofer of the Tigers home team. Five-Ash Roof Services, fair, honest, and ethical. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Five-Ash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
Hey folks, I'm Jarrett Carter. My family recently purchased East Memphis Ace Hardware at Quince and White Station, and we're excited to offer the best selection of Big Green Egg and Traeger grills. And then don't forget about our Benjamin Moore Paint Studio and the Garden Center for flowers. Save 60% with our new Duracell key fob replacement program. We have a master locksmith service as well as glass cutting and screen repair. The East Memphis Ace Hardware, located at Quince and White Station behind Three Little Pigs.
You already know you can listen to Sports 56 anywhere with the Sports 56 app or at sports56whbq.com. But you can also watch live video of all our shows on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and Periscope. Don't miss out on anything. Stay in touch with Sports 56, 98.5, and 96.1 on social media. We are Sports 56 WHBQ Memphis, W253DF Memphis, and WIVG Tunica Memphis. Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Now, more of Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
Happy New Year, everybody. Nice to have the band all back together again. Wolo and Stats along with Drew Barrett pushing all the dials. We wish everybody a happy, healthy, and safe New Year. Let's all hope we we all get vaccinated as quickly as possible and can return
It'll be a good year.
to normalcy. We mentioned a little bit early. To me, the story of the day is that it won't be announced till tomorrow. But Brady White has won the Campbell Trophy. That is the academic Heisman Trophy. He is so deserving. He comes as a part of a list. Last year it was Justin Herbert, who's now with the Chargers. Barrett Jones won it. Tim Tebow won it. Peyton Manning won this award. Danny Warfel won this award. It comes with a lot of big names attached to it, and now he is a part of that family, and so is the University of Memphis. The big story today, though, could be that the NCAA has given the go-ahead. There is going to be an NCAA tournament. There will be 68 teams in a bowl, all in Indiana. Most of the games in Indy. Some will be played in Bloomington. Some will be played at Purdue in West Lafayette. Selection Sunday will be March the 14th. The Final Four will be on April the 3rd. The championship game will be on the 5th. We love talking college basketball, actually, all kinds of sports. College football, too, with our friend David Cobb from CBS Sports. Happy New Year, David. Nice to chat with you. What was your favorite story of this crazy long weekend?
Yeah, a lot going on, no doubt. The college football playoff games were interesting. Maybe not quite as interesting as we might have hoped. I think the Ohio State was really the story of the weekend in my mind, because I didn't know which version of Justin Fields was going to show up in that game, because he's looked at times over the last 2 years like the best quarterback in the country. And then there have also been moments where he has looked, like there would be some teams in the country that he might not even start for. But we got the good version of him over the weekend. And to me, that's what sticks out. It's just how unbelievable he was in that semifinal game against Clemson.
David, I do. Do you think Ohio State can beat Alabama? Not a plucky, close game, but a W. To the victor go the spoils. Could it be the Buckeyes?
Oh, yeah, absolutely they could. The way they played against Clemson, I think erased any doubt about that. Alabama's defense has been susceptible, at times this season. Just go back to what Ole Miss did to them early in the year. Go back to what Florida was able to do in the second half of the SEC championship game. And then you go and look at and see what Justin Fields did against Clemson on Friday in that semifinal. And, yeah, absolutely. I think that Ohio State has the talent, to do it. I wouldn't have necessarily said that, I don't think, before Friday, because the sample size has been so small for Ohio State, especially against good teams, that it was just really hard to know. And, hey, maybe we get the lackluster version of them on Monday, in which case Alabama just wipes the floor with them. But if Justin Fields and that offense look anything like they did on Friday, yeah, absolutely, Ohio State can win that game. I mean, Alabama's correctly favored. I think I'm still going to roll with Alabama. But that was a better version of Ohio State than I think a lot of people expected out there, in that game against Clemson.
I'm with you. I think Ohio State can win the game. I don't think they will, but I think they can win the game. And it's not really just Justin Fields for me. It is, look, all of football, people love running backs and they love wide receivers. And, of course, the key is always the quarterback. The truth is it all begins up front on both sides. It really does. The trenches are where you win football games, and that's what gives Ohio State a chance. I don't think I realized until I watched Clemson, and Clemson didn't all of a sudden get bad, okay? I watched total domination up front, both offense and defense. Trevor Lawrence never had a chance, and Justin Fields could do whatever he wanted to with as much time as he wanted to because his O-line was doing a heck of a job. If they play to that extent, they have a real good shot of beating Alabama.
Well, yeah, and then defensively, Ohio State impressed me up front as well. I mean, Clemson could hardly run the ball. And that was surprising. And then, of course, they got into a situation where they weren't really trying to run the ball, although to a certain degree they tried way too long into that second half to be a balanced offense. But that was impressive as well, was Ohio State's dominance on the defensive side up front. And maybe Dabo would tell you that's because they were a fresher team because they only played 6 games, and maybe he's got a little bit of a point. But I don't think that was a given It certainly wasn't something that I expected for them to be that good up front defensively. And it's going to be interesting going up against Alabama because they're the team that you would typically associate historically during the Saban era with being the most dominant in the trenches. But Ohio State might be able to give them a run for their money in that regard. And ultimately, this may come down to how good are Alabama's skilled players against some of those elite corners and secondary players that Ohio State has. Because, I mean, we're talking about Jalen Waddle maybe coming back to practice tomorrow and actually being able to play in this game. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Alabama's hardly missed a beat without him. But I mean, goodness, if you've got
a guy may have won a Heisman Trophy because of it. If Jalen Waddle's in there, the numbers for Devontae Smith would have been cut in half.
Yeah, exactly. And I think I think Devontae Smith. We did an internal poll on who should win the Heisman, and I went with Devontae Smith. But you're right, Stats. I mean, if Jalen Waddle's out there taking some catches away from him, I don't know that he's a finalist. He's had a great year, and part of that is because of the fact that Waddle was not out there as well. But man, if he can.
But Mac Jones' numbers wouldn't have been cut. Mac Jones' numbers would have been the same whether it was Waddle in there or Devontae Smith in there.
Well,
or Mechie or
you and I both vote on it. It's going to be revealed tomorrow, I believe, isn't it? Tomorrow night that they have the Heisman show. Or the award show. And
we're embargoed through tomorrow night.
We cannot say a thing about who we voted for, but I can say this. All three of the guys that I picked are in the Final Four. Is that true of you, Brett?
It is not.
It is not. Wow. Okay.
In fact, my third, since they've already said he's going to be fifth, my number three. No, my number two was Najee Harris, and he will finish fifth. I've tried to give some love to a running back during this flag football era. David Cobb, tell me this. I don't know where Alabama. We know it's not at the beginning, and we know it's not at the end. So I guess it's probably middle, more tracking toward the end, especially for Nick Saban. For Ryan Day at Ohio State, it's at the beginning of his program. Where is it for Dabo? It's not the beginning. Is it middle or the end? Will they continue to stay around like this, or does a little bit of Sir Isaac Newton gravity start to get them?
Yeah, no, I think Clemson sticks around because I don't see Mac Brown as a long-term challenger to their dominance. I don't see Manny Diaz as a long-term threat, to their dominance. We'll see about Mike Norvell. I mean, Florida State's the program in that conference that has to get back up if Clemson's going to have any, perennial competition in the ACC. Notre Dame was a one-year deal, right? So they're not going to be a perennial challenger to Clemson. So I look at the ACC and I see just by default Clemson being the team that's going to come out of that league and continue to make the college football playoff. And so, the question is, are they slipping a little bit in terms of maybe having that next push or that next oomph? And I think all it's going to take really is a recalibration of the recruiting, priorities. I think they're going to have to start emphasizing, wide receivers just a tad bit more. I think they were a little bit ended up being a little bit thin at that position this year. When you look at how good Alabama was, I think there's a clear deficiency there for Clemson just in terms of being, elite. But no, I think Dabo's here to stay. He's 50, 51.
He's 51 years old. And if you look at his energy level, his fitness level, which is a lot like Nick, I think, Brett, to answer your question from my perspective, he's in the middle. He's got a quarterback who's going to be outstanding coming in. We got a glimpse of him. And he played well against Notre Dame in the first matchup. It was the defense.
Yeah, Ukulele is going to be big time.
Yeah, I think it's well noted. You're right. Now, Etienne's probably going to be gone, but he's been a heck of a running back. So he's just going to reload. I think, and your point's well taken. I have no idea what Mike Norvell will do there, but.
What about Mac Brown? Can he stay around long enough to put pressure on him?
I think Mac might be pressure for a year or two, but is he really going to be around after that? No,
Sustained,
I don't think so.
Be hard.
There's you never know who's around the corner that might be hired in the next year or two. But I think this is at least 10 more years of Dabo Swinney, and he becomes the Bear Bryant or the Nick Saban or whatever you want. He's already really that at Clemson. But why wouldn't you stay there? They'll just keep paying him money. He seems to enjoy what he's doing, and he's only 51.
Yeah,
David, can the public take 10 more years of Dabo?
Yeah, I don't know. That's
why do you say that? He's palatable. I mean, he's a lot easier to take than some of the surliness that we saw over the last couple of years or prior to that from Nick Saban. Why would you say that about him?
He hadn't won near at the level of Nick Saban.
No.
Well,
he's won 2 championships, hasn't he?
Dabo.
He has, but it gets a little shop worn.
He does. He seems to want to kind of sometimes be the victim, in situations. He wants to outwardly be the contrarian. Nick Saban will complain about how the college football needs a commissioner, about how many games the Southeastern Conference needs to play. He'll take on institutions, but Dabo seems to want to take on other teams and other programs, and in that way he sort of becomes, I think, a greater villain than Nick Saban. I could never see Nick Saban coming after an opposing school's administration the way Dabo did when Clemson went down to play Florida State and the game got canceled after they'd already gotten there. I mean, he took that to a level, that I couldn't see any other coach with that amount of clout going there, especially when not playing the game was going to do nothing but really, help his team, to be quite honest. So, yeah, there is a villainous side to Dabo that is only going to grow, over the coming years, unless he sort of, changes, which I doubt he will. But, I think we're in the middle of it, and I think it's he's going to be, I think in a lot of ways over the next few years, become the chief villain of college football.
There was another story, and we switched gears, go to college basketball, and that was what Texas did to Kansas in Kansas this past weekend was amazing. You've written the story about how that propelled them to number 4 in the country. So Gonzaga 1, Baylor 2, Villanova that's going to miss the next 3 games. They're 3. And then here comes Shaka Smart and Iowa. The Horns now 8-1 on the year. I pointed this out earlier. I'd love your take on it. There were a few people that were ready to get rid of Shaka Smart at Texas. They thought, he can't deal with elite athletes. He's got to have a certain kind of hungry guy that's not a 5-star guy. And now Texas showed patience with him, and I think it's about to pay off.
It's funny because you could say the same things about Rick Barnes, who was his predecessor, and he's also proving that to be incorrect in his second act at Tennessee. But yeah, so Texas, okay, so a couple things. One, they got almost everybody back from last season, including 3 guards who led them in scoring. But the kicker for them was also the fact that they landed Greg Brown. He was a guy from Austin, played his high school ball like 10 minutes away from campus. And I think the fact that they were in such good position with him at the end of last season, kind of helped Shaka convince the powers that be at Texas that he deserved another year. Because if you look at what happened with Tom Herman on Saturday, the same day Texas had this big victory at Kansas, you'll realize that, if Texas wants to get rid of you, they will. But I think with a veteran roster coming back and then throw Greg Brown into the mix, it's really worked out kind of about as perfectly as you could have hoped for Texas. And it's honestly the blueprint now in college basketball, because as we look at this AP Top 25 today and we see Kentucky, we see North Carolina on the outside looking in, we see Duke barely in and probably not even deserving to be. We see that some of these blue blood programs that have relied entirely on, the one and done cycles, they're not doing very well. And what Texas has done is very similar to what Baylor and Gonzaga and Villanova right there with them in the top 4 have done. It's combined quality young talent with a veteran core. And, that's very much the recipe for success right now in college basketball, and Shaka finally got that right mix, a veteran and a hot young newcomer.
And, David, the good basketball story for Texas with the backdrop of them making yet another football move. They have not been able to find Mr. Right since Mack Brown. They fired him, I think, maybe too early, obviously too early. Then Charlie Strong didn't work. Now Tom Herman hadn't worked. And they make the move. We had a texter earlier, 67129 at the First Bank text line. And he recognized that it's booster money, and this texter was referencing mostly how it looks in this pandemic with all the employees laid off in the athletics department, but the boosters can find the money to fire the football coach and hire a whole new staff, and the whopping price tag that it goes with. Now we all, and this texter recognizes that it's booster money. It's what people have to understand. Those boosters don't care about those athletics department employees. They don't care about the radio crew. They don't care about a secretary. They don't care about an assistant athletic department guy, assistant AD. They don't care about the grounds crew. They care about the football coach, and that's why they can come up with this money. Fair or unfair, what Texas did to Tom Herman?
Well, I'm going to say unfair because I think it's fair if you go out and get somebody who's clearly better. And I'm not saying that Sark is a bad coach, but you're looking at what he's done at Alabama over the last couple of years, and if you're thinking that that's going to translate to Texas automatically, then you're dead wrong. I mean, if you compare their winning percentages as head coaches, I mean, Sark and Tom Herman are no different. I mean, they both have offensive backgrounds. They both, had decent success as head coaches. I don't know what makes them any different from one different from the other, to be honest. And I think we're seeing yet again what we've seen time after time after time after time over the past decade, where a guy has success coaching alongside Nick Saban, and it does wonders for his image, and he gets a job that maybe he wouldn't have gotten otherwise. And then ultimately, I think it usually plays out to where the expectations are not met, because it turns out it wasn't this guy, it was Saban, and it was Alabama's program. And so I think we're headed to the same thing, here with Texas and Steve Sarkisian, because guess what? Devontae Smith isn't on that Texas roster. Jalen Waddle isn't on that Texas roster, and there's probably not a John Mechie on that Texas roster either. And so I'm confused by it. I mean, yeah, the boosters, they can do whatever they want to with their money. And if you get Herman out of there and you land Urban Meyer, then yeah, I mean, go for it. But I don't get it for Sark. That Sarkisian Herman was not bad enough to justify making the move, because Tom Herman was not good enough, or Steve Sarkisian was not good enough to justify making the move. So I'm confused by the whole thing.
Well, the guy was a decent coach at Washington, right? I mean, would we say that? I think he was a good coach at Washington.
Yes, but
when he went to USC, we know what happened.
Had
there.
issues.
He had a problem. Yeah. He had a problem. He became addicted. He wasn't the same guy.
Yeah, but they weren't on the Pete Carroll trajectory. I mean, they were good, but they were on the Clay Helton trajectory, to be honest. I mean, he wasn't doing anything that was all that spectacular when everything went down. So I don't know what you're looking at other than the Nick Saban shine there with Steve Sarkisian to make you believe that he's all that much better than Tom Herman.
What do you think went wrong with Tom Herman? Was that personality? Was it? I mean, he was a terrific coach at Houston. No, that's a different animal.
How about Texas? Eyes are just bigger than their stomachs.
Well, you know what? How about guys that go do really well at Houston don't necessarily do well other places? Take a look at the last couple of guys.
Really, other than Brian Kelly, and there's one more. Who's really done well leaving the AAC, David? Brian Kelly did, and there's one more.
Justin Fuente did okay. His tenure's not over. Give him a chance.
He's got to win next year. He's out. And he's basically told that.
I agree with that.
Well, Scott Frost.
Matt Rule did really well.
Matt Rule's done well.
Yeah.
Scott Frost is not doing well.
No. Mike Norvell, we don't know.
But yeah, your point is well taken, because Major Applewhite goes to Houston. He was a hot name, was supposed to become an up-and-comer. Now, all of a sudden, he's kind of flamed out. Kevin Sumlin was the hot name at Houston.
Well, Sumlin and Herman are the two guys that really did well at Houston and then were
Charlie
terrible.
Strong was Louisville and then South Florida.
Yeah.
Bobby Petrino, was he ever in the American?
Major Applewhite was never good, by the way. His first shot was really at Houston, and he was terrible. I mean, they fired him, 2 years?
But the Texas winning percentage this year, their winning percentage this year, it is their all-time winning percentage.
Well, and the guy
this year,
the guy's the only guy ever to go 4-0 in bowls.
Yeah, well,
but they roll around acting like they're one of the nuclear club members, and they just aren't.
Well, look at what they did against Colorado in the bowl game. I mean, they just torched a decent Colorado team in that bowl game with some young guys, looking really, really good. And so, after that, you sort of got the, at least a little bit of a vote of confidence from the AD publicly at that point. They go out and they thrash Colorado. And you're thinking, all right, well, I guess, we're going to go ahead with this thing. And so when I hear they're making the move, I'm thinking, oh, wow, has Urban changed his mind? And it's Sarkisian. And look, I mean, I hope Sarkisian does a great job there. But I just don't know what you're seeing with him to make you think that he's going to take you to a higher level than Tom Herman was able to. It's confounding to me. It really and truly is.
But think of all the bad coaches they've had. Yeah, they had a great one in Darryl Roll. They had a national champion in Mac Brown. They had a really solid coach in Fred Akers. But John Makovic, David McWilliams, they've swung and missed a lot, and it's always very expensive. One that didn't swing and miss, and one I owe you an apology for, David Cobb. In the preseason, you were very bullish, very pro Texas A&M. I wasn't, on historical grounds mostly. You were right. I was wrong. They had a great year, and the future's bright for the Aggies.
Well, and I tell you, I think why I was able to kind of peg them. For one thing, last year they played the number one team in the country 3 times. In that, literally, they played 3 different teams. I'm forgetting, obviously, Alabama was one of them. LSU was one of them. And they played Clemson. So those were the 3 who were all ranked number 1 at the time when Texas A&M played them. And then this year's schedule, pre-pandemic, was going to be so much easier that I just thought from a scheduling standpoint alone, that they were almost destined to reach 9 or 10 wins, and probably more. So I kind of stuck with that after they went SEC only, but I wasn't as bullish at that point. But they had a great year. I think Texas A&M and Notre Dame were actually very comparable teams. They were both teams with good but not great veteran quarterback play, really good offensive line play. Good running backs, both lacking a little bit in perimeter playmakers, and then 2 teams with pretty good defenses. So, I mean, I think either way, I think those teams were more or less interchangeable. I would have made the case for Texas A&M to be in the playoff over Notre Dame because I think you have to respect an 8-1 record in the SEC, and I don't think that was respected this season as much as it should have been. But ultimately, we'd already seen Texas A&M lose to Alabama. So I get why that matchup, didn't come to fruition. But hats off to the Aggies because, I mean, the only team they lost to this season was Alabama, and that's impressive.
All right, last thing. You forgot one name that went from the AAC that totally bombed at the Power 5 level, and it's at Tennessee. That's Butch Jones. What will Butch Jones do at Arkansas State? Does he resurrect his career?
I think to a certain degree that program almost feels like it's on autopilot because, I mean, hats off. They've managed to remain good even through that revolving door of coaches that they had leading up to Blake Anderson. And, they went up to Kansas State and won this past year. So, yeah, I think he can do okay there. But here's the thing with Butch. I don't think that he's going to position himself to get a marquee or highly visible Power 5 job, almost regardless of how good he does. Because I think there are some red flags there that have prevented him from getting another head coaching job to this point. And I don't think that those have necessarily just vanished because Arkansas State has taken a chance on him. And so I think maybe he could position himself at Arkansas State if he does well over the next 3 years to get back into it at a place like, Texas Tech or a Kansas State or something like that, maybe a lower tier Pac-12 job. But I don't think that we're going to see Butch Jones again at a job nearly as visible as the Tennessee job.
As always, good stuff. Happy New Year to you.
Thank you, David.
We get back into the full swing of things. We'll do this again next Monday.
All right, guys. Thanks.
Thank you. That is David Cobb, and he's brought to you, in part, in fact, this whole hour of Sports Time for the last several years has been brought to you by the good folks at Homer Skelton Hyundai and Genesis of Olive Branch. I'm going to give them a little call tomorrow and see what are some of the new incentives for 2021. We know with the product, you can't beat it. Every new car on the lot. That could be the new 2021 GV80. That's the long-awaited SUV from Genesis. It could be a G70, a G90. It could be the Santa Fe, my Sonata, whatever it may be. We know this product is so good. It wins safety awards, and every car gets a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty. That's how durable these cars are. And then there's the service, and I like to say they've raised the bar. Every new car, again, every Genesis, every Hyundai, you get a 3-year, 36,000-mile maintenance package. That's because they want to take care of you, and they want to make sure your car lasts forever. They take care of your car, which is why all their certified pre-owns are so good, and that's why they're the #1 certified pre-owned car dealership in all of Memphis. And they have been for 13 years. Go see Ray Melton in that regard. If you want that Genesis car, go see Vinny Garrard. If you want to just see the guy that runs it all, go see Chris True. They're a well-oiled machine. They've been together for a long time at Homer Skelton Hyundai and Genesis of Olive Branch. Back in a minute, we'll recap a bunch of the bowls, sort of our takes in rapid sort of form here on the incredible bowl season. I'm sure Brett's got a lot of the results that we've had, too. That comes your way in just a minute.
Sports 56 Mornings with Peter Edmiston and Anthony Zane. Weekday mornings from 7 till 10 on Sports 56, 98.5, and 96.1.
Hi, this is John Conway with Conway Services. With everyone spending more time at home these days, are you running out of hot water? Did you know the average life of a tanked water heater is only 10 to 12 years? It may be time for a tankless water heater from Conway Services that never runs out of hot water. And the average life of a tankless water heater is up to 20 years. So call Conway Services right now and get your new tankless water heater for as low as $79 per month. Or I'll give you $250 for that old tanked water heater. That's right, get your new tankless water heaters for as low as $79 per month. Now you could do that. These energy-saving models only heat the water you use, saving you money on your gas bill every month. So go ahead, take a 1-hour shower while the dishwasher's running. You'll never run out of hot water. And no more worrying about that tank bursting in your attic either. So call Conway Services, the Mid-South's premier tankless water heater professionals at 384-3511. And the first 30 callers with a 10-year-old water heater will come out and inspect it absolutely free.
Call 384-3511. Conway Services. Call Conway today.
At Jason's Deli, when you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises, just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and quick quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it, because you're not just taking a bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special diets with vegan and gluten-free options available. Convenience and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com, so whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby at Jason's Deli with locations at Ridgeway in the Park Place Center, Poplar and Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and on Goodman Road in Olive Branch. Jason's Deli. It's wholesome food and no surprises.
Before you drive the all-new Nissan Rogue, you gotta ask yourself, how rogue are you gonna go? We talking be one with nature in the desert rogue? Go snowshoeing in Alaska rogue? Or take the long way home just because kind of rogue? Just a question, but with 5 available drive modes, you're sure to find the answer.
Go rogue in the all-new, fiercely reimagined 2021 Nissan Rogue, now with the most standard safety features in its class. See Owner's Manual for important safety information. Auto Pacific segmentation. 2021 Nissan Rogue versus latest in market competitors. Base models compared.
Now, more of Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Homer Skilton Hyundai. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
Welcome back in, cruising through our first show of the year. We're all back together again. We haven't really talked, Brett, since Memphis played in the Montgomery Bowl and knocked off a Florida Atlantic team that was, they just weren't as good as Memphis. That's the bottom line.
They just weren't. The Tigers took care of business from start to finish.
Yeah, they didn't overwhelm them, but clearly were in control. You never thought they weren't going to win the football game.
Fun night of radio listening and TV watching for me that night.
Good.
And I think the next Tiger breakout star is clearly going to be Taj Washington.
I agree.
And it will continue this emergence every year of, okay, pass the baton to the next guy. And we mentioned the transfer quarterback to start the show when we mentioned the great news. If you're joining us late, Dave broke the news at the top of the show. Tomorrow, Brady White will be named the winner of the William Campbell Award, and that is to the academic Heisman Trophy winner. Barrett Jones from our area won it when he was at Bama on a distinguished list up for it this year and winners of it in the past. But with Grant Gunnell coming in from Arizona and those Michigan State transfers and Taj Washington and recruiting, it will keep going. The Tigers open next year at home if we have a normal year in non-conference game. They open at home against Nicholls State, then week 2 go on the road to Arkansas State, and then week 3 they host Mississippi State. That's jumping in the tough competition for everybody. Nicholls State opening day, Tigers going to win. Tigers going to win easily. That's a representative team, though. They always give somebody they play FCS, FBS, a dogfight game. They don't win them, but they give them a tough game. But it'll be fun. The Tigers continue it, and that was a fun night. And Dave, I'm with you that the bowls are not the clear delineation of end all be all of everything. It's not, especially not this year. It's not. But it's a heck of a lot more fun to win it than to lose it, isn't it?
Oh, sure. It absolutely is. I don't think, and look at Ole Miss. I mean, if the Ole Miss had lost that game, I would have said, look, Plumlee was your receiver, for goodness sake. You'd lost so many players, and yet you
80% of the offensive production.
I mean,
didn't play Saturday,
and
in
to
Tampa.
win that game is amazing. It's a testament to how.
And those two
Terrell
coaches wanted it.
Yeah,
Tommy Allen wanted it.
Oh yeah,
because he started his coaching career down there, and then was at South Florida as D coordinator. He recruit. You go down that Indiana roster, and it was Tampa area player, St. Pete, and that area player, he wanted it. It was kind of the Tampa Bowl. That's really what it developed into.
Look, that is exactly where Lane Kiffin wanted to go from the very get-go. If he wasn't going to go to Atlanta and the college football playoff, I don't understand.
Mizzou passed on that.
I know.
Well, they didn't want to spend the money, and they were scared. They were up against COVID issues, which is kind of dirty to do the Music City Bowl like that. If you know, tell me you know.
I know.
And for as loyal, like Steve Earhart and the AutoZone Liberty Bowl people, to stay loyal to their bowl partners, Big 12, SEC, in the AutoZone Liberty Bowl's case, and then for it to really be so very fractious and nebulous out there, Steve might have been better off striking his own deal with two teams. Heck, Memphis and Ole Miss. If he could have struck that deal in late November with those athletics departments, well, he might have been better off being a lone wolf.
I actually asked him about that, and the truth is he does not have the legal authority to do that. He is bound by contract and with ESPN having input where he can't
contracts,
do that.
Schmontracts these days, though, isn't it?
ESPN and really the Power 5 conferences are running the show. I mean, look, Sankey could have said Missouri's got to go. I mean, he could have.
You take somebody down there and put 11 on each side of the ball. Right. He sure could have said that.
He sure could have. And honestly.
And Florida did that. Florida didn't want to go in. And for Dan Mullen to say his season was over when they lost to Bama, I'm sorry, Coach Mullen, it was not over when you lost to Bama. It was over when you lost as a 23-point home favorite to one of the worst LSU teams ever.
Absolutely. That ended everything for them. I agree. That was when you knew his point is my team wasn't the same after the loss to Alabama, but and maybe that's the hangover. But it's your job to get these guys ready to play, isn't it? Isn't that what a coach does?
I can't stand these people. It's so very convenient to say, "Hey, we lost, but we didn't care." That's sorry to do the winner that way. That's low rent to do the winner that way. If you didn't have enough gumption and pride about you that you didn't care, and then you voice it, I think it shows a loser mentality.
You mentioned a little bit about Cincinnati and Georgia in the Peach Bowl, and Cincinnati competed. They did, and it came down
Dave, right there
to a
win
couple
the
of
game.
plays. Yeah, they did, and you know what?
It was more than just a perky effort.
Their defense was outstanding. It was as good as anybody in that league this side of Alabama. The problem was, give Georgia credit, Ritter got stymied by that front line of Georgia's.
Yeah, only 3 of 14 on third down. When they got behind the chains, it really gave Georgia the ability to tee off on them. But Dave, I watched the SEC about as close as I think anybody, and sure love it, but able to tell the truth, good and bad about it. That Cincinnati defense probably would have been the second best SEC defense this year. It sure was. LSU's front was really good, but their back seven was a mess. Well, I mean, utter mess.
And I will tell you this too: the two key things happened to Cincinnati.
Mississippi State's defense was pretty good.
Yes, but let me just say this: in that game in the Peach Bowl, if for one, Cincinnati was not deep at running back. They lost their running back. But the worst thing that happened in that game was they lost their left tackle, who did a very selfish thing by late hitting. And the guy that replaced him was not up to snuff. And the guy that was thrown out happened to be first string All-American Athletic Conference at left tackle.
And on that drive, it cost them points too, didn't it?
I don't remember if it cost him points.
Didn't that kick him out of field goal range?
It might have.
Or touchdown range.
It might have, but the worst part was
Help me, Drew. Do you remember?
That kid kept false starting.
Yeah.
He had 3 or 4 false starts against him, and he could not keep the defensive lineman off of Ritter, and he couldn't run like he normally does. That left tackle really was costly in that game. The Liberty Bowl. The AutoZone Liberty Bowl. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
I was going straight to AutoZone Liberty Bowl, too. Okay. Great game. And I think, Dave, for the year, for 2020, for COVID and all that, to the people that went, man, I applaud you because it looked rotten on TV.
Well, let me tell you, I was there, and I was in a warm press box. And you know me. I like to open up the windows to feel the crowd. It was so cold, and it was raining part of the time where I did not open up the windows. And I must say this. The game that we did in Montgomery, thank goodness it wasn't freezing like that. But, the booth that we did, so the year before, we're in the Cotton Bowl. We're in AT&T Stadium, Jerry's
You could
Palace.
live in that booth.
Oh, my God, What a booth. It's got your own bathroom. It's got everything, right? I mean, it's phenomenal. The booth that I had out there, and it was raining, and sometimes my stuff was getting wet. It was exposed to the elements. Exposed to the elements. We didn't have a true press box situation there. That's crazy. That was crazy. Yeah. But thank God it wasn't freezing like it was at the AutoZone Liberty Bowl. But
did you, Dave?
Army hung
I'm
in
go
for
personal.
a long time.
They did. I'm gonna go personal on the air. Did you meet and see my friend Barry Allen at the Montgomery Bowl?
I did.
Big, lovable bear of a guy. He's
yes,
in charge
did.
of some
of
those
bowls. What am I talking
bowls.
about? Yes, I went to lunch with him.
Okay.
I went to lunch with him. I'm sorry.
Okay. Oh, but Barry's great. A bigger baseball fan than either of us.
Yes.
That's his real passion. But it was fun to watch the game. It was fun to watch the AutoZone Liberty Bowl. 25 bowl games. So here's the breakdown. 12 favorites won, 13 dogs. The rushing passing statistic that for the year in the SEC finished dead even for the first time that I've ever been charting it. It finished dead even in the SEC in the regular season, but in the bowl season, if you won the rushing battle, you went 19-6. If you won the passing total, you only went 11-14. And in over and unders, and if you were making me bet on a game, there's no way I would ever bet under anymore on anything. It's just too hard to get there. Overs won 16 times in the bowls. Unders won 9 times.
I was looking at some of the over-unders, and we'll talk about this later in the NFL playoffs. They're fairly low. The Bears.
Look at the weather they're playing in Saturday.
Yeah. Well, the Bears, by the way.
And Sunday.
You mentioned the Bears have no chance against the Saints. The biggest line of all the games is in that one. Any other statistics of note from the Bowls? I know the Mountain West went like 6-0. The American went 1-5. Memphis being the only
Tigers
winner.
only W.
What was the SEC?
SEC was 6-2 with the 2 defeated teams being
Auburn,
the Florida pounding that Oklahoma put on them, and how that gambling line just swung all over the place with the Florida opt-outs, and then Northwestern taking care of business against Auburn. Dave, I'm going to say about 7 or 8 years ago, my friends Rex Nelson and Blake Edens in Little Rock, Arkansas, they were doing a show, and they had me on, and the question was, other than Nick Saban, who do you think is the best coach in college football? Without blinking, I said, pound for pound, Pat Fitzgerald.
Really?
And that
you
year,
really said that?
he promptly, I promise you I did. And that year, he promptly goes out and goes like 2-10 and 3-9 that year. And Blake never let me forget. He said, there's your coach of the year. But it shows he knows that school, and they know him. Out of the sadness of Randy Walker's death, the hire of Pat Fitzgerald and his tie there, wearing that famous number 51, playing for the Wildcats at Evanston, and what he does, they don't do what we do in the SEC. And at the first sign of things not going well, let's fire the coach. They know themselves, and I think that's important.
Well, he's been amazing too. The fundraising, I don't know if this is earmarked to him, but it's under his watch. The fundraising and facilities that they have built on that campus, which was always antiquated, it is phenomenal what he has done. I have nothing but respect for him. And frankly, it would not have hurt my feelings if he had gone and become the Chicago Bears coach. And there were rumors out there. He made the statement he was not going to leave Chicago while his kids were in school. And I think they're fairly young. So that was basically saying he's either at Northwestern for a long time or he's the next Bears coach. And obviously the Bears, I guess, have given Nagy another year. So that is the way it's going to be.
22 starters are either can come back or have announced they're coming back next year for Northwestern. They're not going away.
Love it.
And at a really tough place that's one of the ultimate basketball schools, how about Mark Stoops? 3rd straight bowl win at Kentucky. He's defeated Penn State, Virginia Tech, and North Carolina State the last 3 years. He's been to 5 straight bowls.
That was a good game,
in 5
by
years
the way.
he's won. It was a real good game.
Yeah.
In 5 years, he's won 20 SEC games when they used to not win 20 SEC games over 15 years.
Right. No, he's – if I were them, I'd try to keep him. And if I were him, I'd stay because – let's face it, those numbers that he's had, they accept that. They wouldn't accept that with John Calipari, who, by the way, got tossed in the double overtime win at Mississippi State.
They played well after he got tossed.
Oh, well, Bruiser, his former player at UMass, and the guy that replaced him at UMass. He's the guy that steered the ship to victory. Last thing, I thought it was a good postseason for the Big 12 too.
Oh yeah, it speaks for itself. It was a good year for the Big 12.
Texas won, A&M won. A&M. Texas won.
A&M's not in the Big 12.
I know. Who? I'm trying to remember who else won big in that. And Iowa State looked really good in that thing.
What about that program? What
Oklahoma
about that job
looked
done
really
by
good.
him? Oklahoma State won.
Yeah.
They beat the U.
What was their record?
West Virginia won here in the AutoZone Liberty Bowl. The Big 12 was 5-0.
Yeah, I thought
or 4-0.
Yeah.
4-0. No, 5-0. I had it right the first time.
5-0?
Yeah.
TCU and Arkansas got canceled. That would have been the sixth one for them, the Texas Bowl. Yeah.
And I'm still thrown off when I see Colorado. They're in the Pac-12.
Right.
They got beat by Texas in the Big 12.
That's right. So 5-0. That was a very, very good year for the Big 12, which we sometimes, because we see so much offense and such little defense, and Oklahoma doesn't usually fare quite as well as you would hope if you were a
held Oregon to
Sooner
17.
Fan. Yeah, no, that was pretty darn good. They dominated that game, no doubt about it. We better take a timeout. When we come back, we'll talk a little Grizz, because it is kind of fun to see what they are doing. Still no word, though, on when their guys are coming back. They made a move today. We'll tell you about that when we come back in just a second. I'll let you know this portion of the show is brought to you by Supercuts. Supercuts, one of my favorite places to go. I want to look good. I know the holidays have passed, but still got date night coming, or you got to look good on your Zoom calls, whatever it may be. Supercuts knows this is a spiky time. They're taking it very seriously still. Everything still is distanced, and they still have in place the safe salon commitment. What is that, you may ask? Well, it is a formula that was developed in partnership with top infectious disease doctors, which maximizes safety and distance inside the salons, and it's all about sanitization. And they are clean. So when you're ready for a haircut, they're ready for you, and they are still ready for you. All 15 of the Supercuts are operating and ready for you to come, so you can still look your beautiful self. All you got to do is go to supercuts.com. You can make an appointment, find out which of the 15 is nearest to you, and learn more about the safe salon commitment. Supercuts, still in business. We take a break. We're back in just a minute. We put a wrap on this second hour. Sports Time on Sports 56.
Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy get you through lunch daily from 10 to 1.
Well, lunch is served.
Only on Sports 56, 98.5 FM and 96.1 FM.
If you need glass replaced, there's only one name you need to know. Ben Swinger Glass, the largest full-service glass company in the U.S. They've been an industry leader for over 125 years. For all your residential, commercial, or auto glass needs, Ben Swinger Glass is the name you need to know. 24-hour emergency service for all commercial customers, plus a nationwide warranty on all professionally installed glass. 2 Memphis locations, one in Midtown, on Hollywood Street across from the Liberty Bowl, and one in Cordova, off Germantown Parkway next to the Fox and Hound. Visit their website, benswingerglass.com. Ben Swinger Glass.
I'm here with the great Pat Donahue from the Rendezvous Restaurant Shipping Department.
Thanks, Brett. We've been shipping our ribs all over the country now for decades from our USDA-inspected shipping kitchen in the Pinch District. We hand-cook our ribs in pits that Mr. Charlie built over charcoal, just like they do at the restaurant.
So what comes in a rib box?
We could do pork shoulder, we could do ribs, our sauce, seasoning, baked beans, coleslaw. We'll even throw in Pancho's cheese dip with our nacho boxes. We also put a bag of Rendezvous seasoned popcorn, heating instructions, some chef hats, some wet naps, and some other helpful tips from our kitchen. We ship our ribs overnight, exclusively FedEx. And we put them in nice packaging. We don't ever want to use styrofoam, so we use corrugated cardboard, actually 2 boxes that fit nice together, so the ribs get to you, your loved ones, or your clients in a safe, wholesome manner. Rendezvous ribs are perfect for out-of-town clients, customers, loved ones. We also ship ribs for any occasion.
Where do we order these great ribs?
You can go to www.hogsfly.com or give us a call at 1-888-464-7359.
Charlie Burgos' Rendezvous Restaurant in the alley since 1948.
Did you know nearly 40% of men under 40 and over 75% of men over the age of 40 experience sexual performance concerns? At the Memphis Men's Clinic, their experienced physician performs a comprehensive evaluation that determines which specific issues may interfere with your sexual performance. These issues can vary and range from anxiety to medical issues, low testosterone, or erectile dysfunction. The Memphis Men's Clinic has evaluated hundreds of men of all ages over the years and reestablished a normal sexual life. The Memphis Men's Clinic will work aggressively to resolve issues and allow you to restore your sexual health and overall well-being. That's the Memphis way. If you're 20 years old or 90 years old, come and get cared for the Memphis way. Treatment that's based on your specific needs after a professional clinical evaluation by their experienced board-certified physician. Call the Memphis Men's Clinic today at 901-443-0475 or visit memphismensclinic.com.
Now, more of Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
Now, this story just coming out from The Athletic and Shams Charania, who breaks everything. Kevin Durant tested positive in some form. It may be contact tracing for the coronavirus. So because of health and safety protocols, he will miss Tuesday's game against Utah. Apparently he's got a quarantine for 7 days. So he will miss the game against Utah. He will miss the game against Philly on Thursday. He will miss the game in Memphis on Friday, and he will miss the game against Oklahoma City. So he's going to miss 4 games in this 7 days. So they were busy when he went down with or not down.
Now, Dave, help me with the verbiage here. Do you count as a positive COVID test because of contact tracing? Like, would I be considered positive because of my proximity to David?
I think because of quarantine protocol, you would be. I don't know that you would be listed as positive, but you would be out from protocol, and that could be what this is. So let me get the wording correct. If I did say the word positive, and I may not have been able to do that, or shouldn't have said that. Durant has to quarantine due to the league's return to play protocols for contact tracing and exposure to COVID-19, which is what you have had.
Yeah,
So you would be that.
Yeah.
So he is not tested positive that I know of, okay? I know that he has contact tracing
Just abundance of caution, right?
Yeah. So he misses 4 games. But wait, let me third game of the year, they sat him and Kyrie Irving to rest, right? They didn't want to play him back-to-back games. So he misses that game. Now he is missing 4 games in 7 days. Wow. Well, he probably would have missed one of those games, too. That arrested him.
And we got a text way back earlier, and it's directed to you, but I'm going to answer it if the texter would indulge me and you as well. It says, just curious. And it sounds like he is truly just, this person is just curious. Dave, if you get the vaccine, why do you care if the next person gets it? You should be safe. Well, yeah, just general courtesy. We want the next person to be safe, too.
Not just that. And I saw that, and I'm not,
herd immunity and all that good stuff.
That is exactly where I was going. Is you got to get 70% to have herd immunity.
You defend yourself. I don't need to get in your fights. You go ahead and do it.
I wasn't sure of the sincerity.
And I don't
of the guy.
think he asked it ugly.
Well, I wasn't sure, so I wasn't even going to address it. But that's the top thing.
Well, context with text is hard.
We got to get 60 to 75% vaccinated for there to be herd immunity. So it's important for everybody's safety.
Or maybe more.
Yeah. That's exactly why. So by the way, I want everybody to be safe. Every time I read about somebody dying from COVID that I might have had some form of knowing, it hurts. It hurts.
And in a lot of cases, people that I didn't know, I know suffering is part of life. Illness, part of life, but something that I think we're on the border of, on the cusp of being able to limit and stop. You know, I wish I could wave a wand and end the homicides in Memphis. I wish I could wave a wand and end homicides around the country. I wish I could wave a wand and end liver cancer. I can't with that, but it does look like we can wave somewhat of a wand with this vaccine and maybe in this. There will be a next thing, and there will be a next thing, and there will be other things, and there's always going to be sadness. There's always going to be happiness. I know that. I know that's how the cookie crumbles. But this one looks like one we can limit and get back to to pre-pandemic life.
Here's what you can waive: your shoulder at the needle when the vaccine comes around. That's what you need.
I'm going to, baby.
To waive. Okay. I teased the Grizzlies made a move today. It's not exactly a major move. They added veteran 6'1" guard Tim Frazier to the roster, and they used
Down goes Frazier.
They used the hardship exception here. So if you've got 3 or more players on a 15-man roster that are not going to be around and missed 3 games and are not going to be around, I think it's at least for the next 3 games you're allowed to sign a guy. I don't know what the money is. I know this guy has played in 272 games, so he's been around a while. He averaged 5 points and 4 assists in all of those games. Last time I saw him on a roster, I think was last year, or no, maybe 2019 with Detroit. So I have no idea.
I have no familiarity.
This is really insurance in case. But that's the whole point.
The very best OTM can ever be is the second best Frazier to ever play in the NBA.
Oh, that's for sure. And I'm sure there's others besides Clyde that would beat him out. Just have a hunch. There are others.
So Grizzlies and Lakers tomorrow night.
Yeah.
Cavs and Grizzlies Thursday night. Nets and Grizzlies Friday night. Busy
Durant.
week for the Grizzlies without Durant. But this year, I think it's all about playing for draft positioning. Cade Cunningham stakes.
Or what about Luke Garza, Iowa kid?
It's going to be a good draft.
I think it's going to be a good draft.
It's going to be a get well for a lot of people draft.
How much losing does it take to get to those 2 guys?
I think it's the winning part. I think you only need to win about 15 or 16 this year.
I think the Grizzlies are going to win more than that, though. The Grizzlies have already won a couple of games, and they've done it with, let's be honest, they're doing it without, the at least the 2 main stars of the team.
Without the team.
Yeah.
I don't know how anxious they are for either of those stars to return, and I can't really blame them.
Well,
this is largely a throwaway year.
Yeah,
Yet another one, sadly.
By the way, under the constraints of the hardship experience, I'm pretty sure that they're not going to be back for the next at least 3 games. I think that's the way that works. I think that's the way it works. Final portion of our second hour is brought to you by Sheldon Rosengarten at Marks Bensdorf. It's that time of year again, New Year's resolutions. We always remind ourselves to change our ways, take up healthy habits, watch what we eat, get more exercise, which I am going to try to do. And this year, think about taking advantage of the astounding Memphis real estate market. What's going on now? Sheldon Rosengarten says he's never seen a better time to sell. He hasn't seen it in all the years in the business, and he's been around a long time. So even if your home isn't perfect or not ready to go on the market, call or email Sheldon. He can tell you what to do and what not to do. He can make the most out of your home. I promise there's no sense wasting time or money if you don't have to. Find out what people often say when you want the job done. Call Sheldon. That's not brag. That's just fact. You can reach Sheldon at 901-483-0546 or memphisrelocate.com. That's Sheldon at 901-483-0546 or memphisrelocate.com. Do it now. You'll be doing yourself a New Year's favor. Back with hour number 3 in a minute on Sports Time on Sports 56.
Chris Price here for Brian Elder Roofing. The storms we've had over the past several months have been devastating to our communities. The rainy season is ahead. You may have not even noticed the dripping in your attic, water stains throughout your home, or even worse, mold and mildew. Please call Brian Elder Roofing and we will send out our project managers to assess any damage. We will not try to sell you a roof if all you need is a repair. We will measure your roof from outer space. 0% for 60 months, even no payments till 2022 are available with approved credit. If you've noticed missing shingles, water stains, leaks in your roof, Call us before you call your insurance company at 867-0303. That's 867-0303, and we will provide a free, thorough inspection of your roof's condition.
Call 867-0303. Brian Elders Roofing Solutions.
Before you drive the all-new Nissan Rogue, you gotta ask yourself, how rogue are you gonna go? We talking be one with nature in the desert rogue? Go snowshoeing in Alaska rogue? Or take the long way home just because kind of rogue? Just a question, but with 5 available drive modes, you're sure to find the answer.
Go rogue in the all-new, fiercely reimagined 2021 Nissan Rogue, now with the most standard safety features in its class. See Owner's Manual for important safety information. Auto Pacific segmentation. 2021 Nissan Rogue versus latest in market competitors. Base models compared.
I Buy Houses, 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. I Buy Houses. I Buy Houses will buy a house in any area, in any condition, and yes, it's guaranteed to close in 5 days. If you need to sell your home quickly, call 901-406-1101. If you've been through a divorce, if you lost your job, if you're tired of renters, I Buy Houses can get you your money quickly. I Buy Houses will buy your home in Shelby County, DeSoto County, Memphis, Bartlett, South Haven, Horn Lake, Olive Branch, anywhere and everywhere in between in any condition. And yes, they're open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I Buy Houses, 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Grab that pen, 901-406-1101. I Buy Houses.
You already know you can listen to Sports 56 anywhere with the Sports 56 app or at sports56whbq.com. But you can also watch live video of all our shows on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and Periscope. Don't miss out on anything. Stay in touch with Sports 56, 98.5, and 96.1 on social media. We are Sports 56 WHBQ Memphis, W253DF Memphis, and WIVG Tunica Memphis. Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Welcome back to Sportstime on Sports 56 with Waldo and Stats. This hour of Sportstime is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brett Norsworthy.
Happy New Year from the great people down on Goodman Road at DeSoto Auto Sales at 5704 Goodman Road. Go online and check out all the happy referrals from last year and years and years and years of happy people dealing with DeSoto Auto Sales at DeSotoAutoSales.com. That town and country experience you've come to know and love down on Goodman Road in DeSoto County. When you walk in, you're treated like family by kind, courteous employees, laid-back atmosphere. They know that we live in a world today where time really matters, and they make sure that you have the ultimate car experience. You walk in within 45 minutes, test drive your car, credit approved, paperwork completed, and you're out of there in time to do it over your busy lunch hour or like right now, immediately after work. All the cars test driven, all the cars checked out bumper to bumper, unlimited inventory, every make, every model. If it's not on the lot, they'll go out and find it for you because no shortcuts are taken at DeSoto Auto Sales at 5704 Goodman Road. Very proud to serve DeSoto County and the surrounding area. 662-890-7184. Come on down in 2021 to DeSoto Auto Sales on Goodman Road.
And we welcome you in hour number 3, a day we find out there is going to be an NCAA tournament. We got college football pretty well wrapped up. We'll figure out the Heisman tomorrow, and then next Monday we've got a national championship. But we are in the early stages when it comes to college basketball. We do know we're going to have the Final Four, as I mentioned, and we are joined every week in this time slot with our friend Blake Lovell from Blue Ribbon Magazine. And let's start with the news today. We're going to have a Final Four, all 68 teams in a bubble, all in the state of Indiana, most of it in Indy. Some of it will be played in Bloomington. Some of it will be played in West Lafayette. Will we get there? Will it work, Blake Lovell? Take out your blue ribbon crystal ball.
Yeah, I think, guys, it's the best option I think they could have had in terms of just trying to pull this off, because I mean it makes a lot of sense. I think logistically trying to send teams all across the country just was not going to be something that was realistic, I think, in this landscape. So this was the best move. I think we always, we were talking about going season bubble options and all this other stuff. I think having everyone in a similar location is the best way to do it, because otherwise I think there's just too many different things that come into play where what do you do if a game in, Los Angeles is postponed for 2 days and then, a week, and what happens if you're playing somewhere in Boise, and it's just, and there's so many different things, I think. So by playing it all in one place, it makes the most sense.
Blake, in that, with the backdrop of the news today of Villanova pausing right now, not shutting down, but pausing, and you have Mike Krzyzewski going to miss a game, I can't imagine if we don't get to a March Madness. Well, I guess I could because of the illness and of the virus raging, but economically and for the future of college basketball, I can't fathom 2 missed years of March Madness.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of the way that they're looking at it is, you try to do the safest thing possible. And I think for the, powers that be that are deciding these things, that's just the way you try to do it, because, I go, like we said, we talked last year, it's just, there's so many different things that, came behind the decision of canceling the tournament. And, there was no choice. You had to do it. And now you're looking ahead and saying, okay, well, we've got to, and there's no doubt. I mean, they were thinking about this before the season started, but as you get closer and closer, I think you really start to understand that, we got to get this figured out, because otherwise, if we leave ourselves open to all these different possibilities of trying to put this together on the fly, it's just not something you can do. So I think by having a plan in place now, it gives them time, it gives them some flexibility in terms of what they can do, knowing that, like you said, I mean, I told somebody earlier today, it's just, it's so interesting to think that if you're a team needing wins on your resume, you may not play your full conference slate. And, we talk about Kentucky. Well, Kentucky has nothing on their non-conference schedule. Well, what if, their final 3 games an SEC player canceled? Then, where do those wins come from? And so there's so many different dynamics at play, but I think that's where, planning ahead, trying to figure these things out, I at least give the NCAA credit for that, because it wasn't going to be easy no matter what.
Here's the thing that worries me. Duke's women, Kara Lawson, they said we're done for the year. SMU's women, of course, they were 0-6. They said we're done for the year. We don't have enough people to do it, and it's already off to a bad start. We're done. What if those men's teams have pressure on them? What if Mike Krzyzewski, who can't even coach now, what if he gets a couple more cases on his team, and they just go, look, the women did this. How can we do it in the face of them not playing? Do you think you're going to see that kind of pressure if the surge gets any worse than it is at this very moment?
No, I think it's certainly possible. I don't think there's any doubt about that. I mean, I think it's a situation where, like you said, I mean, if it's the case of where the numbers keep going in the wrong direction, I mean, there are going to be decisions made at universities all across the country in terms of what they have to do and what they have to figure out. And that's why, even trying to make those plans, like the SEC builds in their week kind of late in the season where if you have games canceled, you can try to get them played. But even that's not something that, that's built on sort of contingencies in terms of where things are and where you project them to be. But if it's going, in the same rate, then, yeah, I don't think there's any question that there are going to be some decisions made. And I don't, we talked about it, I guess it was last week, in terms of, I don't think you're going to see just the Duke women's team. They'll be the ones that decide to do this. We've seen players, opting out too now in the middle of the season, saying, hey, we don't really know what the future could be for the rest of the season, so we're going to, try to do things differently, maybe go try our hand at going ahead and preparing for the professional ranks and all those different things. So lots of things that we still certainly don't know in terms of what the rest of the season could look like.
Blake, a lot of speculation out there about Keontae Johnson at Florida. Florida cannot release anything about his medical unless he were to give them permission to. But he could talk about it. If he had the press conference and he said it was myocarditis, what would that do?
I think it would. I think you'd be done. I mean, whether everybody can have their opinions all you want, but I think there would be no question at that point that, I think if you see something like that, knowing, because we were having this discussion going into football season, like that was the talk heading into football season was, what are the potential things that can come into play here? These long-term, effects and everything like that. I think in that scenario, I think it would be a case where, you want to talk about pressure being amped up to the biggest degree. I think that's where it certainly comes from.
Well, here's the question I would ask on that regard, Brett, and I think that's a great point. But doesn't the University of Florida, or to a certain extent, Keontae Johnson, if indeed this is myocarditis that we know without question was brought on by symptoms of COVID, don't they owe the country, the sporting world, other players, other athletes at other universities, and even the pros, don't they sort of have some form of social responsibility to report that, if that's the case?
Yeah, and I've seen people mention that, in various, whether it's just random people here or there on social media, whether it's, other journalists or media members. Like, I think that's the thing that people have brought up, because it is. And look, I mean, it's the circumstances, as we said. I mean, we're in a situation here where information, I think, is everything in terms of knowing what the right information is. And, you go off of what you know, and you try to find everything you can to give you the best decision, the best options possible to kind of make the decision you need to make. So, yeah, I've seen a lot of other people mention that in terms of what the possibilities would be there, and maybe what ultimately kind of comes of this. And like we said, I mean, it was going to open up a discussion no matter what once that situation happened, because it was so scary. Just kind of seeing it play out the way that it did, and ultimately, obviously, the way he's able to rebound is such a great thing. And still, there are going to be a lot of questions just about things moving forward.
Yeah, and Blake, usually at this time, we're not. We really don't have a spot for it. We get into lighter some, but we usually do predictions for the new year around this time, with the new year starting. That's when you do the predictions. I'm ready to make 2 college basketball predictions, and one kind of slipped up last week. So I'm going to go with that one first. For the first time since the Phi Slamma Jamma crew, Houston goes to the Final Four, and the other one, Gonzaga. They join Indiana 1976, undefeated national champions.
Wow.
Well, I'm not. I don't think you're too far off on either one of those. I mean, Houston. Look, I think these teams like Houston, who not only are they really good on defense, which I think that's always something that, if you're a team like that, if you're Houston, if you're at Tennessee, I know Tennessee just lost to Alabama, but I still think Tennessee is probably the best defensive team in the country, just in terms of what they have. But if you have teams like that, like them in Houston, who can play defense the way they can, it gives you a chance, I mean, against these high-powered, offensive juggernauts. But at the same time, Houston's also got some good offense, and they've got, a lot of good athleticism. They've got some size, and then you've just got guys, some older guys too who've kind of been there and been in these spots before. So they're really good. And then I think for the Zags, I mean, I don't know where they lose. Like I look ahead and I'm like, we always talk about St. Mary's and BYU and even San Francisco. I know they just came off beating San Francisco by 20-something, but I feel like that's probably still going to be a challenging road game later in the season. Now, how challenging, I don't know, but they're a machine, and I just don't know exactly if we can compare them losing a game in WCC play to some of those other games in the past, just because I don't think anyone offensively has the talent to be able to keep up with them, or the efficiency to be able to keep up with what they do on offense, and that's just going to make it so hard. You have to have a perfect night to beat the Zags, and certainly we've seen that happen before. I mean, there have been teams who do that to undefeated teams, but man, it's going to be a challenge to beat this team.
Brett, I think those are great predictions.
Thank you, Dave.
I think you have a shot with Gonzaga.
I feel a butt coming, Blake.
you have a shot with Gonzaga. It's a tough shot because going 40, look at some great teams.
Well, they're not going 40. They're not going to play that many. It'll be more replicative of the IU schedule in 76.
What was that, 32-0?
Around that.
Yeah. But I don't think Houston is going to make the Final Four now, and as much as I would love somebody from the American Athletic Conference to make it,
and I really
know
why
I really
doesn't win those games.
I love Sampson. Well, he's had a major loss. Yesterday he lost for the rest of the year. He's opted out as Corey Mills, his best player. He's the preseason conference player of the year. And that was a guy, he's got a bunch of guys that are gritty, that can get to the hole, that can score, that can muscle their way. But this kid was a really good, skilled guy shootout side, and I don't know what happened. I think he played in that Tulsa game, and then after that, something happened. He did not start the next game, and I don't know. He's taken personal time off for the rest of the year. So I don't think they can get to the Final Four without their best player. So that is why. Hey, here's my question, Blake. I want you to predict how many SEC teams will get into the big dance. Because I watched, we know Kentucky, which many people picked to win that team's not making the NCAA, okay? They had to go to double overtime in Mississippi, in Starkville, to barely.
And now Arkansas spanked by Mizzou.
Well, spanked by Mizzou at home after Tennessee spanks Mizzou at home. I think there's only one good team in the SEC, and that's Tennessee.
Well,
I agree.
Right now I agree too. I think Tennessee's still a team to beat. I just don't. If you ask me, I still think they're, even though losing to Alabama, I think they're still significantly better than Alabama, than Florida long term. You know what? I would still put LSU closer to Tennessee probably than the other teams, because I think LSU has so many playmakers on offense that they are good enough. They don't play well enough on defense, and that's the thing I worry about with LSU. But I would probably still say that I think the SEC may find a way to get 6 teams in. And
6?
It's very possible. Now, listen, I think the reason why is that, you're going to have a team like Alabama who's saying, look, I'm telling you 6 without Kentucky. Like, I don't think Kentucky's getting it either. We talked about it. I think Kentucky's got to make up a lot of ground in SEC play, and I just don't know if this team's going to be able to do it.
All right, by smell test, I'll go with you. I think Alabama, Tennessee, Missouri, and Arkansas, those 4 teams. I might go with you on those 4. I don't see
one of those 4 could play their way out.
Is Auburn going to get in?
Here's the 6 I would have. I would have Tennessee, LSU, Florida, Alabama. I think all 4 of those right now, and even Missouri, I think all 5 of those get in, and I feel pretty good about it. Arkansas, I think, is one that they have no non-conference wins to speak of that are going to necessarily help their resume a great deal. So I'm still waiting to see on Arkansas. But look, guys, I mean, like we said, it's been so crazy the way this thing started. Arkansas could turn around and beat Tennessee this week for all I know, and so that would obviously be significant. But beyond that, I really don't, because, look, there's another team out there too. And I know that they have nothing to this point because they've only played 4 games. But, South Carolina, who knows? Like, you never know with South Carolina. Could they eventually? But the fact that they only played 4 non-conference games, I don't know whether that could actually wind up helping them, just because, they didn't have really any bad losses, because they lost to Houston and they lost to Liberty, who's probably going to be in the tournament. So I still say 6, just because I think there's going to find a way for them to get in there. But I'm still in wait-and-see mode on teams like Arkansas. They have work to do. Ole Miss, it's possible, I guess. But beyond that, I just think everyone else, there's too many unknowns.
They just lost to what I think is an average Wichita State team. But Wichita State's beaten Tulsa already this year at Tulsa. Yeah. So maybe they're better than we think. That would be a heck of a story if the interim coach, who's really auditioning for this job and most people think has no chance of getting that job, if they were to somehow win the American, that would be a heck of a story.
Yeah, it would.
Blake, please tell me you were following Stanford and Oregon State this afternoon in the matinee from the Pac-12. Stanford won by 10, 81-71. You were watching, right?
Yeah, always keeping up with those. But I mean, look, Stanford, they're interesting too, guys. I'm telling you, talk about defensive teams, like they play some defense. So I'll give them that. They got a lot of size, defense and size. I like that combination. Look, they've already beaten Alabama, they've beaten Arizona this year. So Stanford not off to a bad start. So
tell me your thoughts on
make a prediction.
Go ahead.
Yeah, because Texas may be one of your teams. Tell us your thoughts on Texas, and then give us your January 4th, 2021 Final Four for 3 months from now, all in Indiana.
Well, Texas is really good. By the way, I think this is the team he's been waiting on. I know it's been a long wait, but they're unbelievable. I mean, they're playing the kind of defense that Shaka Smart wants them to play, and he's always wanted to play. They just haven't been able to do it. But I think this team is really good, and you could very well throw it. I mean, look, they just beat Kansas by 25 in Kansas. I mean, we don't talk about it's different home and away this year, but still, that's an impressive feat no matter what. All right, Final Four. Obviously, we're putting the Zags in there. Obviously, I put Baylor in there. I think they're clearly the top two at this point. I guess we'll throw Villanova in there. I think that just their experience, Jay Ryan, he probably find a way to help them navigate some things. That fourth team, guys, I'm telling you, I'm gonna still stick with Tennessee. I think that their defense is going to be something that, while their offense has still got a little work to do, we saw that in the Alabama game. If they have everybody on the floor, Jaden Springer didn't play much in that game. If they have everybody and then they're fully equipped, I think Tennessee can get there, and I think Tennessee could be right there just because they just have the defense. They have those kind of intangibles I think you need. I don't think they're going to win it all, but I think they're good enough to get there.
I'm not sure they could beat Texas from what I've seen. I'm not sure they could beat Iowa from what I've seen. Creighton's ahead of them. That would be a good game. They're all good games. Wisconsin and that physicality, it'll be fun to watch. That is for sure. I don't think anybody's going to touch Gonzaga. That team is the best team we've seen in a number of years.
Yep, I'm with you. I think that they're, like we said, they have a really good shot to run the table, and not just run the table, guys. I think they got a good shot of beating everyone by 20-plus the rest of the way, and that's not something we say very often.
Beyond Gonzaga, is Creighton the best of the non-Power 5 schools?
Probably. I guess you could probably say that. Yeah, I mean, off the top of my head, I think that's probably the best of that group. Like I said, I'm still high on Houston. I think that they, despite the loss of the Bills, I still think they're a pretty good team, and I would put them in that conversation. But I think you probably look at Creighton and just kind of look at the makeup of that team too, and say, man, when you have a team that can shoot it pretty well, that can score the way they can, and we've already seen them, get some pretty hard fought wins. They've been able to win some close games, and I like that too for teams that, especially in a year like this, they have that experience, and I think that ability to win close games, that's something that's going to help become tournament time. So they have the older guys that can do that, so they've been pretty impressive.
What would you say about St. Louis? What do you think of that team, now ranked 23rd in the country, 7-1 as they enter A10 play?
Yeah, I think with St. Louis, I love Jordan Goodwin. I mean, he's fantastic, and I can remember talking to Travis Ford for our Blue Ribbon preview, not this season, but the last season. It was like you felt like they were on that verge of kind of breaking out. It wasn't going to be last season, but you felt like this season it could kind of be that spot where they could do it. And I think you see the way they played to this point. Certainly, I think it's a possibility. I love teams that can shoot it well from outside. They've also got experience, like you said, with having someone like Goodwin leading the way, and they've got some of these older guys too that are on the roster. And I think these experienced teams, I'm going to probably keep leaning on them throughout the season. That's why when we talk about a team like Missouri, people are like, well, Missouri comes out of nowhere. Well, I don't think they're going anywhere just because I think they have all the experience. And so when you have a team like that, like St. Louis, who has an older guy they can lean on, at one of the most important positions on the floor, I just think that they're certainly going to be a team that you probably do not want to play once we get to March.
How good's the American?
Well, I think that's another one probably. We talk about things that are yet to be determined. I think you're still probably looking at a situation where, I don't know, because we've seen some of these teams, like we said, we've seen some of these lose some games. We've seen some of these teams get some impressive wins. How good is Tulsa? How good is SMU? How good are some of those other teams? And that's the thing is, when you look at the bottom of the American, maybe that more tells the story. We know where kind of Cincinnati's at right now. You look at some of these other teams, and you just feel like, where is kind of that point where do any of these teams kind of stand out above the others? I still think Houston will be the one that does that. But like we said, too, Wichita State's off to 2-0 start. So, I don't know. SMU, I'm very intrigued by. I think we talked about it last week, Dave. I think SMU's pretty intriguing, too. So it's interesting to kind of see where this conference heads.
Yeah, Houston roughed them up pretty easily last night. I just don't know how good Tulsa is. And we'll see. Memphis now has a new offense they've put in and plenty of time to work on it. And they play at UCF tomorrow. And Now, they've beaten South Florida, and I think South Florida is just an average team, but not a bad team. But I look at this, and I hope I'm wrong, but I don't see more than 2 teams from this league getting in. Maybe 3, but probably 2.
Yeah, I think that's about right. I'm with you on that. I don't, like we said, I think there's too many unknowns with a lot of these teams. We know Houston's getting in, but beyond that, I think it's probably you don't really know how the rest of it plays out.
Happy New Year to you, my friend. We appreciate your coming on every week. We'll probably ask you for more predictions as the year goes on, too.
Yep, I'll probably change my picks every week. Thanks as always, guys.
Thank you.
You have a right to. Thank you,
go.
Blake. Thank you.
That is Blake Lovell from Blue Ribbon Magazine, brought to you in part by the good folks at Homer. Homer Skelton Hyundai in Olive Branch, Genesis of Olive Branch. Same building right there at the corner of Craft Road and Highway 78. That's Lamar in Memphis. Really quick. You get on Lamar. First exit in Mississippi is Craft Road. Turn left. Go see my guy, Chris True. Chris has what I think is the finest automobile dealership in all of the Memphis area. Starts with the product, the Hyundais and the Genesis cars. So good, you get a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty on every new car. Then they take care of you. They raise the bar for service with Genesis cars. Now, they'll come and deliver the car for you. You want to test drive that new SUV, the GV80? If they've got them, because they keep selling out of them, if they've got them, they'll bring it to you to take a look at. And everybody gets a 3-year, 36,000-mile maintenance package free because they want to take care of you. That's Hyundais and that's Genesis cars. And if you want to go see the latest in the G cars, they're affordable. There are some like the G70, the highest performance car I have ever had. That car has some options with 0% financing available. Just go see Vinny Garrard. He'll set you straight. So many reasons why you will love Homer Skelton Hyundai and Genesis of Olive Branch. We'll take a look at the triple headers Saturday and Sunday, also known as Wild Card Weekend. It'll be wild in the NFL. We go over that plan in just a minute on Sports Time on Sports 56.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio. We are Sports 56, 98.5 and 96.1.
Looking for fine jewelry for that special occasion? Look no further than James Gaddis Jewelers. Hi, this is Jay Gaddis, and for over 60 years, my family has been here for Memphians on every occasion. Specializing in engagement, bridal, and custom design, we are here to make your dreams come true. Depend on us for birthdays, anniversaries, Valentine's, or any day in need of a smile. We have an extensive selection of gemstone, diamond, and pearl jewelry, watches, and designer pieces. Shop local at Poplar near Mendenhall in the heart of East Memphis. James Gaddis Jewelers, your family's jeweler.
Bria's Fashion Boutique is the worst. First, they asked me if I needed help finding anything. Just because I'm gorgeous doesn't mean I need help.
No matter how hard you work for your small business, online reviewers will find something to complain about.
Then they tell me they're having a sale. Oh, so you're assuming I'm poor. Cool.
And while Progressive can't save you from these trolls, we can help you save money on commercial auto and business insurance.
Also, they tried to give me the friends and family discount. I'm not your friend, so...
Get a quote online today at progressivecommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliated and third-party insurers.
Hey, we understand. With everything that's happening, with all the new regulations, maybe you're not ready to come and hang out at Sweetgrass to catch a ball game. We want you to, we really do. And we're open for you to do just that. But we're also offering the next best thing, the new Sweetgrass Tailgate Party Packs. Whether it's wings, house-made dips, sliders, or other Sweetgrass tasty treats, all you have to do is call us or go to sweetgrassmemphis.com to order just what you're dreaming of when you're dreaming of watching sports and enjoying some sweet, sweet Sweetgrass.
Welcome back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Waldo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brett Norsworthy.
Welcome back in as we cruise through our final hour. This just coming out thanks to I think it's the Grizzlies that have tweeted this out. John Conchar, the aforementioned guy that you love so much?
Oh, no, it's not me. It's Grizz fam that loves John Conchar so much. Grizz Twitter is infatuated with John Conchar.
Well, he's out.
So that makes me infatuated with him.
He's out.
Oh, no.
He's got a left ankle
Let
sprain.
me down easier than that, Dave.
No.
John Conchar's out?
John
How will
Conchar
the franchise exist?
So you got no
Is
Jaren
Twitter
Jackson.
still functional? I need to know because it might bust the
Grizz
server.
Twitter is. I think Ed Jack's got a big server, don't y'all?
Oh yeah,
boy, that could make Friday Follies there. I think Ed Jack's got a big server.
So I got to ask you this question because I read to you how you get the hardship exemption. You got to have 3 guys on your 15-man roster out. I just did the Grizzlies have 6 men out now. Jaren Jackson Jr.
Do they qualify for an extra guy then?
Maybe. John Conchar, John Morant, Jonte Porter, Killian Tilly, who's not played a game yet, right? And Justice Winslow, who's not yet played a game. So 6
all
guys.
in for Cade.
Wow.
Tank for Cade.
Man. Incredible. But is there another Tim Frazier out there that you could find, for goodness sake?
Well, you just don't go around replacing John Conchar.
It's amazing. I'm serious. By the way, just so you know, Tim Frazier will wear the number 10 jersey. So now you know.
Just like Clyde Frazier. Let's start calling him Clyde.
There you go. We got to talk the NFL. I did not realize.
Were you
this.
at Southern Illinois? Were you a collegian with Clyde Frazier? Y'all the same age, aren't you?
Are you serious? Are you serious? He was just 2 or 3
yes,
years.
Dave, can't you tell?
He was
I knew that.
2 or 3
I
years
knew
ahead
that
of you. Not that much, really. I remember when he won the NIT. Was it? I want to say it was 68 or 69.
67?
67?
Yeah, somewhere in there. Yeah. Jack Hartman, head coach.
My first year was 71, so he was 4 years ahead of me. Then I want to say it was 68 or 69. I don't know why.
So he's closer in age to you than really I was joking about.
Yeah. No.
But you Bears are in the playoffs Sunday. Way to go, Bears. My Bears. Our Bears, Dave.
There you go.
Our
You're
Bears.
with me.
We pulled them through.
You're with me. Then you said
and I'm with
want
you.
him. No, you can have all Brett. I need a playoff win. Brett is
NFL Brett. I'm going to take
bad luck.
I'm going to be Raven fan in the AFC and Bears fan in the NFC. That's going to be my teams.
I am going to be Bear fan in the NFC, and if they don't make it, and Washington does, I will be a Washington fan because I love that story. In the AFC,
I do like that story too.
I know who I am for in the AFC because I was the first one to identify their true greatness.
The Bills.
Buffalo Bills.
In all seriousness, I'm really pulling for Cleveland. I know they're not they're probably not going to win a game. They're sure not going to the Super Bowl, not this year. But I love Kevin Stefanski. Loved his dad here in town with the Grizzlies, and I think he's got the look of the long timer in the NFL. Just his first year. But Cleveland's never been to a Super Bowl. 0-0 all time in Super Bowl. So I'm for them first. I'm for the Titans next. They're 0-1 all time, but I know a lot of people and like a lot of people with the Titans. And then, Dave, I think it's the Bills. And they could be the upset team. And we know what they got to go through and who they have to go on the road and beat. But all those Super Bowl losses under Marv Levy, I think it would be fun for a franchise like that to finally get theirs.
So if they beat Indy and they're home and they're 7-point favorites, who do they get next? That part I'm not sure of. Is it
well, if it went according
Baltimore,
to grid,
Tennessee?
No, if it went according to seeding, they would get the winner of. Let me get this straight.
Cleveland, Pittsburgh, or
They would
Baltimore
get
and
the
Tennessee? One of those.
No, they would get Pittsburgh because they're the 2 seeds. So it would be the 2 versus the 3, but that would be at home. In that weather. No fans.
Well, but
although
both
this
teams
is
know
how
how to play in that
arbitrary
weather.
some of the things. Yeah, but this is how arbitrary some of the things around the virus that it really is. I was thinking it on the airplane to and fro Tampa. Everybody social distancing, everybody be careful. And then when you get inside the tube, you get inside the airplane, and I'm 3 inches from the person by me, and they're eating. They have the mask off, and they're eating.
Well, first
But
off,
don't dare get them near them at a stadium.
I'm upset at every airline that's selling the middle seat. I am. I don't think they should.
Dave,
Delta,
middle seat. I
think
was on the
Delta's the only one that is not doing that. Thank goodness for them.
I was on Delta.
You were
and
on
I was
Delta,
on
and they
Big
were
Boy
selling
Delta.
it now? Oh, that's terrible.
I was on Big Boy Delta out of Atlanta, 3 middle, 2 left and right, and everything packed.
You mentioned all those running back numbers earlier, and you know how successful they were in the bowls. They weren't, I guess, in the league this year. It was a little different because we were throwing so much. But
Passing era,
just to show you how much undervalued running backs can be, and like I've said, I would never use a first-round pick on a running back in today's game. Now, if we revert and go back, I would change my mind. Do you remember where Derrick Henry was taken?
I don't, Dave. I'm sorry, I don't.
3rd pick, 2nd round.
That's about right, because especially after Trent Richardson and that disaster, everybody got re-scared again.
And then he finished this year, 2,027 yards. Do you realize that number literally beats 23 entire NFL teams? All their rushing numbers?
Yeah, and I've wanted to fall a little bit prey to it about Najee Harris and now his all-time rushing record number at Alabama. The best running back ever out of Alabama is Derrick Henry. End of discussion.
He's incredible. Yeah. He has become, well, heck, he's only the 8th guy to get more than 2,000 yards in a season. I mean, what?
And he doesn't. And he's not even breathing hard late in the game either.
And you were right. Leroy Kelly, 67, was the last guy to do.
I was a guess.
But Henry
I was a guess.
had said. So that was
because
a good pick.
you know that's come up before. You know, it's one thing to go Favre, Rodgers at quarterback. That's amazing. But the Cleveland Browns to go Jim Brown and Leroy Kelly back to back. That's some staying power. But Pittsburgh Steelers, they sit atop everybody in this playoff. They're 6-2 all time in Super Bowls. Green Bay 4-1, Washington 3-2. Drew's Ravens, one of those teams to say, never lost the Super Bowl. 2-0. Kansas City 2-1, Indianapolis 2-2, New Orleans 1-0. T.J. Reeves, Buccaneers 1-0. Dave, your Bears 1-1 all time in Super Bowls.
Right.
Seattle 1-2, Rams 1-3, and we mentioned the other 3 a little bit ago. I'm ready for the playoffs. I'm glad we've expanded. That will be a day of football Saturday.
I love it.
12 noon to bedtime.
You know what? I'm glad they expanded, and I think this is the right format. One team from each conference gets the bye. They should get that for being the best team in the conference. And I love this number. I love this triple header deal. I really do.
I do too.
Apparently, the odds makers think the Bears and the New Orleans Saints are the worst game, and the best game apparently is going to be Baltimore and Tennessee, slightly better than Cleveland at Pittsburgh. Baltimore at Tennessee -3, and Baltimore is a road dog in this game. And I don't know why, but I think they're getting their act together. And let's face it,
I've seen the Ravens win in that spot before. I was at that playoff game when they pulled upset in January of 2009.
Well, the Titans' defense is not very good. Now, they score 31 points a game. So much of that is Derrick Henry.
It's lousy.
And if Baltimore can shut down Derrick Henry or limit him to 100 yards, say, they'll win. I think they can win the game.
Forbid.
I think that's a good road dog.
Check out the weather. When you're out there playing these games or when we do our predictions Friday, check out the weather because except for the Dome, the other 5 games, it could be lousy. Nashville, maybe not as much as Buffalo.
Well, Seattle, but that's not going to be terrible. Could be a little rainy. Washington could be
Rains
tough.
every day there.
Washington could be tough. New Orleans, Bears don't have to worry about weather. And Pittsburgh could be tough on Cleveland.
And the good fortune for the Bears there, and you know the players love this, there's no need to even practice outside this week. I mean, everything's going to be in the bubble at the Hallis Complex.
According to the players, you know, and their association and their leaders of the Players Association, they don't need to practice at all.
ever again.
That's the new deal. We had such great quality football this year with no OTAs and no off-season workouts. We're not having any more of those. We don't need exhibition games, and we don't really need a camp. Maybe a week.
Could be the last ride for Phillip Rivers.
Yeah.
And we'll have to find out if it's the last ride or not for Tom Brady. What would an ugly early postseason upset to Washington? What would that? I wonder what that would do to his psyche.
Ooh. If Tampa loses at Washington, let's say it's snowing like crazy and there's no traction, it could happen.
The end of Ben Roethlisberger whenever the next Steelers loss comes. We know Drew Brees is retiring.
Yep.
This Saturday could be Saturday and Sunday could be the end for some stalwarts.
I think it is the end of Phillip Rivers. Here's my first prediction of the year. Indy will retire Phillip Rivers, and Carson Wentz will become the new Indy Colts quarterback and will, again with Frank Reich, flourish. He will return to
Dave,
form.
that's a great prediction.
I think Doug Peterson.
Where'd you see that? You didn't come up with that on your own, did you?
No.
That's good.
It's called being well-read, my friend. Sometimes I think these things up. Sometimes, but not this time.
Jimmy Garoppolo talking about going back. There's a lot of conversation about him back with Belichick, that it's over in San Francisco.
I think that's sad if it is. He's been hurt, for goodness sake. But you know what? That would be really good for Bill Belichick. It really would. But he's got to find some other weapons too. Cam Newton is not the only
Bears
guy.
are playing. The Bears are playing at the stadium of their finest hour, winning that Super Bowl. Finest modern hour for sure.
I will tell you this. Well, when what did they do?
Any chance for upset?
Yes. Look, the Bears were in it.
Underdog.
The Bears were in it with Green Bay until the stupid 4th and 1 call. Honestly. And that demoralized them. The only other team that I saw more demoralized last night was the Philadelphia Eagles when Doug Peterson
threw the game.
When Doug Peterson brought that quarterback out, and did you see the looks on their faces? Like it was, are you kidding me?
I don't know if that locker room ever responds to him again.
I
think he won a Super Bowl.
I think he has definitely lost that team. I think Philly's in big trouble.
Yeah, it's been firing Monday, too, around the NFL. There's a lot of guys axed today.
Well, we had Adam Gase going yesterday, Doug Maroney today, Anthony Lynn got fired. 3 guys got fired in the last 24 hours.
And we got to wait and see what Minnesota does with Mike Zimmer. Have to wait on Doug Peterson right now in NFL head coaching by seniority.
Doug Peterson got the go-ahead. I think he's back.
You think he's back?
I think he is.
If Zimmer's out,
I think that's a dumb decision by Lurie. He's the owner of the Eagles.
If Zimmer is out, then here will be the seniority. 1's Belichick, Super Bowl, Super Bowls. 2 will be Sean Payton, Super Bowl.
Wow.
3, Mike Tomlin, Super Bowl. 4, John Harbaugh, Super Bowl. Pete Carroll, 5, Super Bowl. 6 will be Andy Reid, Super Bowl. If Zimmer's out, he is currently 7, then it would fall to Doug Peterson. So the top 7 in seniority would have that Super Bowl. It insulates you. Does it save you forever, though?
No, didn't save Lovie Smith. Oh, he didn't win one.
No, winning it.
Winning
it. Does winning it save you forever?
Well, let me think. Pete Carroll.
Hard to fire a guy that won you a Super Bowl.
But Pete Carroll has he keeps getting you there. He keeps you winning, making playoffs.
He keeps feeding the monster.
Right.
So Nolan Richardson used to talk about.
Right. Obviously, I think
it didn't save Mike McCarthy.
No, it did not. But that was also because he had lost his team. He'd lost.
Didn't
his
save
locker
Brian
room.
Billick, did it, Drew?
It didn't.
No. I think it saves you for 2 or 3 years. That's about it. That's why
what Doug Peterson's up against.
I think Doug Peterson's in trouble in that regard. The Rams make the playoffs, so that keeps feeding him a little bit.
But he didn't win it. McVay didn't win it. He just got to it.
That's right. I'll tell you this.
What about Urban Meyer and the deal he's talking about? $12 million. He'll be the Jags' new coach. Write me the check.
$12 million per year?
That's his offer.
I did not see that. I knew that when they fired Maroney, they were making a hard play at him. I did not realize it was for $12 million. Wow. $12 million per year. How many years does he want?
Just 2 would be enough.
It's like a 5-year.
1 would be plenty.
5-year deal? $60 million?
I guess.
Man. It'll be interesting to see if that happens, it ups the price of every coach in the National Football League. $12 million.
Bill Belichick's got to go to Kraft immediately and go, if he's getting 12, where's mine?
Yeah. Wait, what does Bill Belichick make right now? You know?
I don't know, but it's not 12.
No.
He's got 6 trophies.
My goodness. That's a guy that doesn't want to be hired, isn't it?
I think he's playing hard to get, yeah.
He must be. Well, you know what? I got to tell you something. According to Google, Bill Belichick makes roughly $12 million per year. So that is that is the going price. Yeah.
Okay. But he's got the hardware. He's got the proof.
Yep.
Urban Meyer's got a good college background, a great college background. I love him. Again, the last person in the South that likes Urban Meyer is Brett. Because I say the heresy. He's a better coach than Spurrier. And, 6'7", 129. I know everybody hates that.
So the average coach in the National Football League makes about $6 million a year, according to Forbes. So Urban Meyer wants Bill Belichick money and double the average.
And his record in the NFL all-time 0-0.
Well, you know what? He is worth it in the collegiate ranks because we know he's won everywhere he's been. Hasn't he?
Coach. Everywhere. Bowling Green,
right.
Utah,
exactly.
Florida, Ohio State.
Yeah.
There's been some issues with it, but it gets untidy. That might be why he wants to take a swing at the NFL because it can always get untidy in college.
Well, and if it does, and the paycheck is $12 million, or say you sign a 3-year deal for
Who cares?
$36 million. yeah. See ya. I'll go right back to working at Fox because they love me. They worship me at Fox. Unbelievable. What money. What money. This portion of our show is brought to you by the good folks that make this great beer. I mean great craft malt liquor. I keep going back and going, is this as good as I thought it was? They are taking care of beerness in Memphis. I'm talking Grind City Brewing and this brand new collaboration, this new wonderful product that they have created. They did it in their wonderful brewery. They got a beautiful place, 15,000 square feet of beerness in an area called Uptown Memphis, just north of, a little bit north of downtown, really not far, kind of across the river from Mud Island. And this thing is beautiful. They're going to have concerts there and everything else, but they have created a malt liquor. They call it Tiger Tail. It's the official craft beer, by the way, of the University of Memphis. And it comes in 16-ounce six-packs. It is not your typical malt liquor. So I know what you think of when you think of malt liquor. Forget it. Think about a craft beer that is smooth. It is bold. It's got an unbelievable clean finish, 7.5% of alcohol. And again, 16-ounce six-packs is how they sell it. It is so easy drinking. You will love it. I mean, you'll love it with anything. Just sitting down and watching a football game with chips and dip, or you want a burger with it or a steak. I'm telling you, it is fantastic. It's like I didn't think you could do that with malt liquor, but they have. They figured it out. It's a dream of a father and son duo. So if you're into that kind of thing, it checks that thing off your ballot too. It is really terrific. That is, again, Tiger Tail and Grind City Brewing, taking care of beerness in Memphis. Back with Crunch Time and a wrap of our first show of the new year on Sports Time on Sports 56.
We are Sports 56 WHBQ. Listen to us daily on AM 560, 98.5 FM, and 96.1 FM.
Farmers Insurance knows that there's a not-so-subtle difference between the sound of a car hitting your rear bumper and the sound of a clown car hitting your rear bumper.
Whoa, 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 whoa! Sorry about that.
We call that a three-ring fender bender, and we covered it. Talk to a farmer's agent.
They know a thing or two because they've seen a thing or two.
Call Chad Gatlin at 901-235-1176 or get a fast quote at memphisfarmers.com.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
Underwritten by Farmers Truck Fire Insurance Exchanges and Affiliates. Products not available in every state.
Hi, this is Troy Five-Ash, owner of Five-Ash Roof Services. You've heard me talk about how we offer the best products, the best warranties, and the best services for years. Now let's talk about pricing. Pricing should never be the only reason you hire a contractor, but in today's world, pricing is always a consideration. So we suggest you get 2 or 3 estimates for your roof replacement from a reputable, licensed, and insured company, and then give us a call. If we can't beat your best price for a comparable roof system by more than $100, we'll give you $100. It's that simple. We are so sure we can offer you the best price, beating all other qualified companies, we will hand you $100 if we can't, and thank you for the opportunity. So give us a call. What's the worst thing that's going to happen? Make $100? Five-Ash Roof Services, a proud supporter of Tiger Athletics and the official roofer of the Tigers home team. Five-Ash Roof Services, fair, honest, and ethical. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Five-Ash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
Before you drive the all-new Nissan Rogue, you gotta ask yourself, how rogue are you gonna go? We talking be one with nature in the desert rogue? Go snowshoeing in Alaska rogue? Or take the long way home just because kind of rogue? Just a question, but with 5 available drive modes, you're sure to find the answer.
Go rogue in the all-new, fiercely reimagined 2021 Nissan Rogue, now with the most standard safety features in its class. See Owner's Manual for important safety information. Auto Pacific segmentation. 2021 Nissan Rogue versus latest in market competitors. Base models compared.
Welcome back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Waldo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here once again are Dave Wolosian and Brad Norsworthy.
Come on, Muhammad, we hit fame. We beat with the deal, we get insane.
Final portion of our Monday is brought to you by Conway. Conway Services, heating, cooling, plumbing, electric, and of course it's free furnace time. John, you know him. Are you going to consider replacing your air conditioning system this spring? January is always one of the slowest times of the year. The warehouse is full. Crews are slow. So does Spark Business during these cold winter months. Conway, they're going to give away a Carrier 80% gas furnace absolutely free if you purchase a standard Carrier air conditioning system right now. That's right. You get a Carrier air conditioning system in the month of January. Get a gas furnace for free. And if that's not enough, John says, how about an April air cleaner, a 10-year parts warranty, and a free Nest thermostat? That's up to $2,000 in savings. Plus, get your new system for as low as $139 a month, or you got a choice, 12 months interest-free. Now, anybody could do that. And you know, with Conway, you're always going to get the award-winning service every time. All you got to do is make the call, 384-3511. How about a free furnace? 384-3511. That's the number for Conway. It's crunch time.
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy! This is for all the biggest crunch time.
You are looking live. In your life have you seen anything like that?
Boop! Get you!
What's happening, big dog? How you doing?
It's obviously crunch time.
Hammer, nail, coffin. This baby is over.
All one. On two. On three. Hey!
Time for Taco Bell Crunch Time. Taco Bell, home of the crispy tortilla chips, topped with a double portion of either seasoned beef or shredded chicken, plus refried beans, nacho cheese sauce, reduced fat sour cream, guacamole, and a 3-cheese blend. Nachos Bel Grande, heaping portion of chips, topped with ground beef, tomatoes, beans, nacho cheese sauce, and a dollop of sour cream. Taco Bell, home to great food you get on your way home real fast, and they bring you crunch time every day.
Dave, I think I can speak for both of us because I know how much fun you had in Montgomery, but I can't imagine in a normal year how great the Outback Bowl in Tampa would have been and how well you would have been treated in a normal year in Montgomery. It was fantastic, even with all these restrictions, for us at both places. Tough year for the bowls, and maybe, sadly, some of the needed purging of some of the bowls. I think there are too many. I think some of them are too meaningless. And I'm with Kirby Smart. Let's just don't go a little bit on this playoff. Let's go the whole enchilada. If we're going to expand, let's go 12 or 16.
We'll certainly go 8, but I'd be all with 16. That would get
let's do it.
That would get
and
every
end
other
all
group
the
of 5 in. Yeah,
kerfuffle.
I'm with you. I mean, it's what makes the NCAA
let's do it.
basketball tournament. I learned today John Shambi, who I think is a very good announcer, will become the new Cubs TV announcer. I'm guessing TV announcer because he's a TV guy.
Mr. Baseball, John Sciambi. He loves it. He'll fight you if you run baseball down.
Well, that is fantastic because the Cubs TV announcer went to the White Sox to do radio. The Cubs have the best radio announcer, I think, in the business, in Pat Hughes. I love him. And John Sciambi, now the Cubs television announcer. It just goes to show you, in the National League, you can't beat the Chicago Cubs.
Oh, Cubs are already warning their fans of a lean 2021. Could have done without. We made history, Drew. Yes, we did. We were there, Dave. You were doing a Tigers game. So Drew and I, we made history on the opening night of the AAF in Memphis. It pitted the Memphis Express against the Arizona Hotshots. And we got to see John Wolford start for the Hot Shots that night. He came in for the Rams yesterday in his NFL debut, 231 passing, 56 rushing, and propelled the Rams into the playoffs. We saw him on a cold, drizzly night.
I love the guy. He got the Bears in the playoffs. That's all I cared about. No. I could have done without this. Doc Holliday out at Marshall after 11 years. Wins his league just about every year, but couldn't quite win the
Coach of the Year this year.
Isn't that amazing? It was the governor that got him out. So apparently he and the governor didn't hit it off.
Jimmy Justice got him fired, the governor of West Virginia?
Exactly.
Seriously?
That's what they say.
That's the reason?
That's what they say.
Keeping a close eye tonight on NFL and college football firings, more college staff changes than anything else. In the NBA, who will be the first firing there? Will it be Scott Brooks with the Wizards? College basketball, 8-3 West Virginia, at 7-2
That's
Oklahoma
only
State. Let's
good
watch
game.
Cade Cunningham.
Yeah.
He might be a Grizzly next year.
Well, maybe. I'm going to watch that. That is for sure. And that'll do it for our first show of the year. I'm actually taking tomorrow off. No, the Tigers are playing. I'll be back on Wednesday. Drew and Brett will be here tomorrow. Have a great night, everyone.